Yo, yo, yo. What is
What is
up?
good? Welcome. Welcome back. I will say if this is your first time joining the live stream, welcome in. Usually this how this goes is you just blurt out your trade questions, blast them off in the chat, and we will get to every single one until Will has to pee. That's
Mm.
usually the time frame.
And I just
But
peed, so I'm ready.
okay, so
Yeah, we're good.
he's dialed in.
Oh yeah. We've already got
That sounds good.
we've already got the Carr question. I think that's probably, I mean, obviously we've got rookie news with, a lot of visits for running backs and wide receivers for certain teams, but obviously the Derek Carr injury, maybe needing surgery, probably not ready for the start of the season, maybe not even playing the season. Are you buying Carr in Superflex leagues with the news, and what's the price? Oof.
I will say I came into this and I was like kind of joking with Will. I was like, should we even talk about the news? Because like Carr's really the only thing that happened. But people do want to know. I mean, I've been low key. I don't want to say I'm gonna ride the train, but I've low key been a Carr truther in that he's been basically cheap to near free for the past couple of years, and he can still put up decent like QB low end QB2 numbers and be kind of like, okay, like a decent QB3 that's super cheap. I'm not paying more than like a late third for him right now though.
Yeah, it feels
Like
very
it
Aaron
is terrible.
Rodgers-y, like coming off the ACL, like that kind of feeling from the previous year. I think there was probably even more hope with Rodgers. It's kind of tough. I mean, I don't know. I think that we were talking about it a little bit. I think it definitely opens up the door for the Saints drafting a quarterback, and
Mhm.
I think the reasonable NFL watcher, even unreasonable NFL watchers, would say, hey, maybe the Saints want to, let's blow it up, guys. I mean, you've got
No.
Kamara, but
No,
no,
it's
the
not
Saints are not an
happening.
organization that does that. They are, let's push this cap down the road. Let's trade up in the draft, not trade back. I don't even know what a trade back is. So I definitely could see them taking one of these guys in this draft.
Who's still out there? Like there's Aaron Rodgers.
Kirk, there's Kirk.
They the Kirk is like the money situation though. Like it's not
Yeah.
like Atlanta would still have to take a lot of it. But I could see him going after Rodgers and then picking because they're at 9, so they could take like a Sanders if he falls, or like reach on a Jackson Dart. I know the Dart and Milrow hype. I know Milrow is apparently going to the draft day one.
Man, poor Saints
So
fans.
you might be stuck with Milrow or someone like that if they get a little bit frisky. But yeah, I mean, again like I do think Carr there will be a point to buy him again, but it's kind of like Daniel Jones, where it's like, well, what do I get?
Yeah,
Like it's
and
kind of
there probably
dumb.
will be a lower price. Like there's like still the speculation of like might not be ready, might need surgery. I mean, maybe it's some sort of like weird conspiracy bargaining chip for him being released and whatever, so he can choose where he goes kind of situation. I'm not going to pretend to know what's going on, but yeah, I think he's tough to let's get to a more exciting trade here. How about a 2025 third for Quentin Johnston?
We're getting gross already to start.
Off the bat, I mean, this is
These
real.
would
I mean,
be
people tuning into a Dynasty live stream at 9 p.m. need to know 2025 third or Quentin Johnston. Like these are my
yeah.
people.
Would you take QJ or Derek Carr?
I think okay, so I think QJ. I don't want to get too. I don't want every answer I give on a Dynasty live stream to just be this like roster construction. What is your format? Let's look at the war graph. But I mean, really, like QJ falls into that bucket of if what I can get from QJ is like maybe slightly more spike week upside than what I'm getting off of waivers, then give me the third for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I'm taking the third at this point for either of them.
You can just do more
Just
with
because
a
like
third, I think, too, even
QJ,
after what
yeah,
QJ did last season. They're probably going to draft some sort of weapon or add somebody. Already added Mike Williams. Maybe we see the Colson level and everyone's talking about that for the Chargers. So, yeah, I think give me
yeah,
the
there's been the
third.
hype that he's like on the trade market too. So I mean, again, like if I can get off of a gross asset, and again, I don't hate Derek Carr when he's playing, but if he's out for the year, I don't want to hold on to him for a whole year. For me, these are players that's like, especially with like a Carr, is like week 8, my team stinks. Can I just get him as a throw in when I'm like trading away a piece? And then it's like, okay, cool. Like if Derek Carr is anything next year, I at least have like a stopgap at quarterback somewhere. But
Yeah.
I mean, neither of these players are dynasty players anymore. It's just
Yeah.
like, what are you going to do for me?
And two, we'll move on after this, but I mean, you're not even talking about the likeliest outcomes, but looking between like QJ turning into nothing versus QJ turning into someone you're sad that you traded away for a third. Like I think that's what I think about guys like QJ for sure. I'll pull this up.
Stuff.
Yeah, well, we got some interesting ones. I see some best
people
ball,
are
juice
popping
scoring.
off.
We'll get in there. What's up, guys? And what's up, Guy? Dropped mine in the live chat on Discord. I will pull that up. What's good, people? What's up, Sean?
We got
Familiar
Sean
face.
L back. He's here every time.
And Guy, I remember
Guy.
We got Big Stebo here. We got a 14x11. This will be a good. Seeing 14x11, seeing juiced scoring for something. This will be a good one for me to get this. Yeah, this will be a good one for me to get the Discord question ready. So I'm gonna hand this one over to you to start. But a 14x11 best ball. Start 2 QB, 2 wide receiver, 3 running back, 2 tight end, 2 flex. Scoring is juiced to the running back and tight end with tiered PPR. So assuming some sort of small point per carry, and then obviously tiered PPR for the positions there.
So Amon-Ra St. Brown or the 101 Deebo and the 26 second. This is tough. I will say in a 14 team start 11, I'm going to probably lean depth here. Just because if I can get the 101, that gives me a lot of flexibility. I get Deebo, which in a best ball start 11. Deebo's definitely going to crack my starting lineup multiple times. And I get a second, which I can use depending on my roster. I don't know if this team is like super loaded. Like if you're super stacked, and it's like, okay, like I'm only going to start GT, fine, whatever. But realistically, in a 14 team start 11 is probably all. It's going to be better to split that asset, pick up an elite piece, pick up a guy that's going to break your lineup. And then you also get the flexibility of the second. Do I need to use that to buy, a random wide receiver midseason or something like that?
It's a deep
or I can
league.
hold it the next year. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it is 14. I mean, I know like people get a little queamish when you start getting to 14, 16 teams for like seconds and stuff because you feel like it pushes back. But when you're talking best ball, I mean, you're still going to be able to find players who are getting snaps, whether it's a trade or, taking a dart throw on somebody that's drafted to a decent spot. I like the 101 side, and I'm a Lions fan. I love Amon-Ra, and I don't think I'm not scared.
It's hard to not take him.
I know, and I get there's some fear with the Ben Johnson effect, but I don't think this is playing into this trade at all. I think this is totally fair for an elite wide receiver, getting the 101 there.
Yeah, and you get Gene T, and it's like, okay, like I don't play a ton of best ball, but typically it's like you want to lock in some solid running backs, and then kind of just have his more like. Instead of like every running back on the roster, you're like, I want to have any wide receiver that might, have a Gabe Davis week and get those big spike weeks. And Deebo's certainly someone that, especially being the wide receiver 2 next to Terry McLaurin and that, Washington Commanders offense, there's a lot that he can do. So I expect him to totally have multiple 15 plus point weeks, which you want to capture.
Yeah, I think I think that especially the juice scoring. I think if this was straight up, I might even still take the Genty side.
Would you do this in a non best ball, like just a normal lineup league?
14 by 11, still juiced format for running backs. I'm a little wide receiver. I love my receivers, and I love Amon-Ra. I think I am. I think you could argue the 101 straight up for Amon-Ra. And I know you want to take, like, I'm still going Amon-Ra for sure, like just in a vacuum straight up, but I don't think that would be insane if like it made sense roster wise or the format or the juice scoring. You say, hey, look at this war chart. The difference making production I'm going to get from Genty is way more than Amon-Ra's giving me versus, the rest of the field based off of how deep the league is and everything. So, yeah.
No, I agree. I mean, I think it would need to be like a 14 team, like start 8, start 9 before I really start saying, okay, Deebo's not that useful. But even in a lineup league, I'm going to be slotting in Deebo in that, 10 or 11 spot.
Mm-hmm. All right, I do. I worked quick. So we've got this guy question here, the live chat on Discord. I got the image here, so it's on Discord if you want to pull it up, or it's on the stream as well. So I'll read this out. So Guy is getting, and let us know, Guy, if you've got the. I guess I have the roster here. So we've got 2, 3, we got 5, 6, 7. All right, it's start 10, but 3 are defensive players. Guy. Always. I feel like you're always coming in with the defensive player trades, but we'll still analyze it. I think it is because it's got Bo Nix, Josh Allen. It's got Bucky on the bench. Yeah, Bucky on the bench. Oh, he's sending away Brees. All right, we'll talk through it.
This is a
all right. We've got Saquon, getting Saquon, Josh Allen, and Puka. Oh, I love this first glance. Trading away Kyler, Brees, Marv, and the 109 and the 102. Ooh.
I'm gonna guess what you're gonna say, and it's gonna be give me Barkley, Josh Allen, and Puka Nacua when I'm only starting like 7 offensive players.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm leaning. He already has. He has Bijan and Bucky. So I don't. Even though I like Brees, I am not worried about Brees for Barkley in any capacity. And I think, you could argue you're not worried about that anyways, regardless. I don't want to talk too much about that or I'm going to get sad. But I got a lot more Brees than I do Barkley. I'll tell you that much. But yeah, Kyler and Marv. And I'm not even down on Marv. I guess you said what you said. You said what side you thought I was taking. Are you with me on the
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Josh Allen?
It would have to be a much deeper league for me to be like, okay, like give me the picks. But even then, it's like Josh Allen, Puka Nacua, Barkley. I'm going to take that side pretty much in all formats until you get like to a 14-team start 11.
And we got a lot of trades to go through here. So I'll just it's looking rough. But I'll show this lineup here. So we do have Bucky on the bench. Let's see. So the new roster here.
This is where we need the Dynasty Daddy link.
Yeah,
we'll do a little plug.
Man, this is looking a lot crisper. This is just I think this is a move on. But yeah, no, I think you crushed it. Oh my gosh, this is a flex though. Josh Allen, Bijan, Barkley, JJ, Puka, Laporta, Garrett Wilson, Andrew Van Ginkel, Nick Cross.
This one's the award of the best roster of the night. We'll see if anyone can beat it.
Yeah, let's see. Drop your roster flexes. Only have the one league? Okay. All right. I like that it's a funky one. I'll give you that. I like that it's a funky league. Only one. We got to get you in some more. Maybe we'll, I don't know. I'm about to put Jeremy on the spot when this is something we should have been discussing. Like, we talk a lot, like all the video editing stuff and the stream stuff. I don't know why I haven't brought this up again, but in some capacity, we're doing some sort of Dynasty Daddy startups in some capacity heading into this next season, right?
Yes. No, we
you don't have to answer more than that if it's
there's been a lot of talk.
Proprietary information.
Be running some leagues, so you can play with both Will and I.
Nice. Okay. There we go. That's all. We can stop there. All right. We got Sumo Kid.
We did confirm it.
Nice. Got JD5, Jayden Daniels, and the 304. Gave Odunze, the 104, the 109, and a 12x10 super flex. Odunze. Oh, I don't think you overpaid. 12x10, getting Jayden Daniels.
No, I don't think it's an overpay, especially with like what I'm looking at with the 104 and the 109, which is like you're not giving up a ton. And the league is, it's not like a start 11. It's not like depth really matters. Depth kind of matters, but Jayden Daniels is. If you do any startup drafts, I think today on Keep Trade Cut he's rank 1, but basically Jayden Daniels is the premier of the premier Dynasty asset.
If you swapped, like I'm doing this, and I think most people should do this. I don't know if everyone does this. Swap Jayden Daniels with Josh Allen in trades that you're like kind of queasy about. Like if you're like, oh my gosh, Josh Allen, it's a smash. Same thing with Jayden Daniels, in my opinion. But Odunze 104, 109. If you're making this trade and your roster isn't like in shambles, and you're like, oh my gosh, like I have no receivers. I don't have any 26 picks.
Zach Moss.
Yeah, my first pick this year is like the 310, and I've got nothing. Then maybe I would try to find a different way to do this type of deal. But once again, too, and I say this all the time, this is how I'm going to close out this trade and many other trades like this, especially in these not crazy deep leagues. You could turn around and trade Jayden Daniels for this exact package in a different flavor with 8 out of the 12 teams in the league.
Well, yeah, just take this and go get Kyler Murray a first and like James Conner or something. And now you have 2 starters and you get a first. And Like, there's a lot you can do with that. And two, on top of it, it's like you can go out and if you have a second, you have the early third, like you can probably staple a bunch of gross players together and buy an Aaron Jones, James Conner, these old guys that are going to put up 10 points per game. Because you have Jayden Daniels. He's the real difference maker. I'm not a big hater on Odunze. Like, I know last year we had the whole JSN slander, month where everyone's like, JSN sucks. There's a reason why Odunze didn't see the volume that we wanted him to have, especially with his draft capital. But, so obviously, like, he could totally have that JSN season, and I think that's why everyone's still steaming him up to be that. But there's still an outcome where he is kind of just meh, like, okay, like, he's a Chris Olave, where it's like, well, he's kind of good, but a little bit overpriced.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, I'm for the Bears for fantasy purposes. I'm excited about the Ben Johnson offense and everything. And I know he was asked specifically about that power slot role and kind of that Amon-Ra role in the offense, and didn't give a hard answer. Like, it was very much like we'll see what the guys are looking like on the field when we're going through things. So I think it is a little up in the air, but like, let's not act like DJ Moore has not been a featured part of every offense he's been a part of. So it could easily be DJ Moore.
Some sad Panthers. when I get sad and look at the old Panthers highlights, and
what's the happy Panthers? Is it like I mean, you got some happy Panthers moments. The Cam Newton years were fun.
2015. Yeah. Come on.
There you go.
We were here's to make this all about me. It was week 13, I think. Panthers were undefeated, and I bought tickets to the finale in Charlotte against the Bucks, and I was like, we are going to go undefeated. Like, all the other teams are trash. And then the very next week, we lose to the Falcons, who sucked that year. And I was like, well, there goes my perfect 17-0. Like, couldn't make up a better story in my dreams type of season. But I mean, brutal. Thankfully the Super Bowl got canceled, so we didn't have to watch that.
Oh, yeah. All right, we got the just
move through
here.
Move through it.
One, yeah, no, I'm scrolling down here. We're cranking these out. 1 QB PPR. Do I trade Godwin, Zach Moss, and pick 31? So pick 31. I'm assuming that's a rookie draft with it's got to be
Godwin, Zach Moss
for Jayden Reed and Algier. So this is like some sort of. So it's kind of like a late or 12, 24, 36. There we go. We got
it's not like a keeper league, right? Or something like that.
Right. You got like a mid third as that. All right, where you at on I think it's obviously this is how do you feel about Jayden Reed versus Chris Godwin?
Yeah. I mean, in the 1 QB PPR, I feel like you got to go with the Godwin side.
Yeah. I know it's tough off the injury and you get excited about the age. I mean, I don't know if it's going to happen. The Packers aren't traditionally first round receiver drafters, even in situations where they very much could have been for the past, seasons with Aaron Rodgers. But, I mean, it's commonly mocked that they are drafting a receiver. And Reed just isn't a full-time player. I don't hate it though. I mean, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that Jayden Reed does, gives you these Jayden Reed spike weeks, but just like super inconsistent for. My only worry is in a 1 QB PPR, it's a shallow league also. I haven't seen
many. I was about to say
I'm not trying to shame the 1 QBers out there, but I just feel like every 1 QB league that I see or get asked questions about, it's always like super, super shallow. So I usually am just like, yeah, just give me the guy who's going to score better for me for the next 2 to 3 seasons.
If I'm going to try to do Godwin plus to get a wide receiver, like a youngish wide receiver, I'd want to go like the tiny bit above Jayden Reed. Just
I like in the third too, because it's a just 1 QB.
But... Yeah, 1 QB. I don't even know what you're going to get there. I think Jayden Reed is just one of those guys that it's like Gabe Davis back in the day, where it's like you just don't want to have to rely on him because the second you bench him is when he scores 20, and then the second when you start him, he scores 2. You just kind of want the floor that Godwin will probably get, assuming he comes back healthy, which he did get the contract. He's tied to Baker. He was performing incredible last year pre-injury. So I'd much rather have someone that could be difference making, especially in a 1 QB league.
Yeah, and I see what Sean's saying here. It's not Jayden Reed. He's not the problem. It's their usage of him. Yeah, I mean, they're just a team that doesn't want to let Jayden Reed play. Yeah, probably don't matter.
Yeah, no, I agree in the talent of Jayden Reed. It's just like the usage. I think it's more around Jordan Love got injured. This is my tinfoil hat. Is Jordan Love got injured and the usage and the passing usage especially changed a ton after the injury. They really were just like, we're just gonna run it down. James Conner or not James Conner, Josh Jacobs, another J name. But we're just gonna use Jacobs and we're don't trust Love at all.
I'm gonna move on to the next one. We're cranking through these. Guys, test me. Jeremy asked me to add the sub count to the overlay, so I got it up there. That. Let's see if it works. Somebody who's not subscribed, don't test the other way. Don't unsub if you're already subbed, okay? But
that was nothing. Oh yeah. God.
But somebody who's not sub and see if it works. We'll move on to the next question. And I want to get some applause emojis in chat if it works, or some negative emojis.
I need like some confetti or something.
Yeah, we'll work on it. I'll talk to our graphic designer on that. What's up, guy? I have a contender team traded for Allen Plus. Oh, okay. Would love to know your feelings for what I do even better. I will say I want to pull back up the team. We were just flexing this team. That team was crazy. And actually, you probably sent this message after or before we ended up pulling up. That was Bijan, Bucky, Barkley, JJ, Puka. Yeah, just I will say, and here's what I'll say, and this is I think sound advice that I've received from other people who have been in the space way longer than I have, who've been making content for way longer than I have. These teams that are these super teams, try not to get too focused on trading away your flexibility and capital to make your best lineup that you have that's way better. It's projected to beat every other team by 10 points every single week. Don't push in the chips too far on those kind of teams, because like there's so much variance in fantasy football that like, yes, you could make your projection 12 points better versus 10 points, but at the end of the day, it's not worth sacrificing the flexibility. So don't trade first on top of, Bucky to get Gibbs and, just even though you have Barkley and Bijan and everything, just keep your flexibility when you have those crazy teams that are contending right now.
No, I do agree. I think when your team is loaded, especially in a shallow league like this, you're only starting so many players. Like, even if you look at keep trade cut or whatever and have the top quarterback, the top running backs, the top wide receivers, your team's not guaranteed to win much more. Even if you have literally the perfect lineup. So at this point, I would be looking at who's on my bench that's not required for me to win, and how can I just kick the can, pick up some future picks, just so I have that flexibility. Because you don't want to be caught, that once you have a team like this, it's like, cool, this year's set. Let me think about what my team will be in 2 years so I can have some flexibility there.
Mm-hmm. For sure. All right, John P. We got Amon-Ra for MHJ and a future mid-first. PPR league, solid starters, lack wide receiver depth. I've recently made a getting off of Marv for Amon-Ra, but it involved a lot else and was not the value of a future mid first. Mm-hmm. I don't hate the trading Amon-Ra. I think it depends on what this. I know you say lack wide receiver depth, which makes me think this is a deeper league, which makes me lean towards this MHJ first side. I think people are a little. I know, I see the face. I know what Jeremy's gonna say. Guys, are we like way too down on Marv's rookie season?
No, I'm not a hater. I'm not a hater, but
sounds like something a hater would say. What do you guys think? Let me know in the chat.
What Marvin Harrison Jr.'s name is, and it's kind of like Garrett Wilson to me, where it's just like the value was just always way higher than his production. Like, it was just kind of like this 10% bump. You had to pay the Garrett Wilson tax because everything's going to go well for the Jets. We know, we've seen the Jets put it together many times before. There's no way they're going to ruin another great player on their team. That's what the Jets do. Yep. Marvin Harrison Jr. barely had competition. Like, he had Trey McBride, Kyler. Yep. I think he'll be good. I think he'll be fine. Mm-hmm. It's just hard when you have like Amon-Ra. And I do think, like, to me, if it's start 11, absolutely. Just give me, the pick and the player.
Make the bet.
If it's like a start 9, I'm like, I can probably find decent flex options and say, hey, Amon-Ra is probably going to get me 20-something points per game.
Yeah.
I'm probably just going to, trust that works out better than me saying, okay, I hope Marvin Harrison Jr. plus whatever I can do with this future first equals one starting spot that gets me 20 points per game.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, and I think we're on the same page. I think I was just going a little too hard on the Marv side with that, but I agree. I think deeper format, I like this move, but I agree in a shallow league, it's a lot easier to stomach getting off of, I don't want to say a questionable asset, but it's like the questionable elite asset, right? Like there's a chance that Marv, especially alongside what we saw neighbors do last season in the same class, and
I think it should be like
consistently.
It's like in Dunze, but like I'd much rather buy a Dunze because like there's question marks, but it's like the price is much cheaper.
Yeah,
and that's kind of where I value Marv. I'm like it should be the same price, where it's like he wasn't a bust, but he wasn't amazing. So I don't want to, I don't want to overpay for something that's still not guaranteed, especially at that price point. Because all I have to do is add a little bit to Marv, and I can get into that elite tier, get into the Amon-Ra tier.
Yeah. I think Sean. I think a lot of good points. I like Sean Snow here. Depending on the roster, talks about lacking receiver depth, and if it's a deeper league as well. Been subscribed since day one. I appreciate that.
You got the sub number did go up. Sean did confirm.
Love it. Appreciate it. Let's go. Just gave up the 107 for JT. So this is the roster. Wait. Okay. Let's forget that next point. I don't know if these are connected, but they're the same person at the same time. So we're gonna piece the puzzle together. All right. So the leadoff question says 12 by 10.
Okay.
2026 first for Kenneth Walker. It's the QBs. We got Burrow, Nix, JJ McCarthy. Love it. Wide receiver Puka, T. Higgins, Garrett Wilson, Xavier Worthy, Ricky Pearsall. RBs are okay, gotcha. Jonathan Taylor, Tony Pollard, DeAndre Swift, Jalen Wright, Hawkinson, Jonnu for the tight ends. Just gave up the 107 for JT. Now, would you then turn and trade a 26 first for Kenneth Walker?
Okay.
12 by 10. You're probably benching Pollard if you do that. Because you're playing Puka, Higgins, Wilson, Worthy. Yeah, I don't think I'm doing it. I do like Kenneth Walker, but
I do have the way I play is I just have a premium. Like if I had my own keep trade cut values, the current picks would be cheaper than my future picks if I only have one, right?
Yeah.
I assume he only has one 2026 first.
Right.
That to me is a big band-aid, right? If I'm the Titanic and I hit an iceberg midseason and I can't patch that hole, I'm going down. And it's like that first can be I can go out and buy the Kenneth Walker midseason when Jonathan Taylor gets hurt and is out for the year. Now I'm like, well, now I'm running with backup DeAndre Swift because they got Hampton and Pollard. Like it gives me the flexibility. I don't have to make that decision right now. And I don't want to like strip away all my elite assets. If it was like, a second and something else, sure. But you not having a first, you're literally like, okay, everything has to go my way. Otherwise, if it doesn't, like it's getting gross. Yeah. I'm going to have to start like Tim Patrick Jr. or something like that. Like things are getting gross.
Yeah. And I'm sure we've all been in those situations too. And I'm not even talking about seconds. You ever been in you're looking at a roster, you're like, oh, we can make a deal here. Like I know I can get this guy the way he's thinking about certain players or whatever. And you're like, if I only had a second to add on, like I'm sure I could get him to bite. Like though that happens all the time. Think about the flexibility you're giving up with that first. Think about the tanking teams. Next season that they have high producing players. They've got Saquon or whatever that's smashing, and their quarterback gets hurt. Or they lose 2 wide receivers to injuries, and they're like, well, this is pointless. You're just eliminating your flexibility there to get an even better deal than what is probably fair. It's probably fair giving up a 26 first for Kenneth Walker for sure if you plug it into a trade calculator and depending on the league and scoring and everything. Like I like Kenneth Walker, but yeah, give me the flexibility, especially with your team. Like I know Tony Pollard.
Yeah, your team is pretty solid.
Tennessee could add a running back. Like let's say Tennessee, what the hell, they traded back into the first to got Amari and Hampton. Like gosh, like Pollard's the 1B in a 3-headed committee. Geez. Then you can kind of stress leading into the season to make a move. Like you don't need to do that at this point.
I will say the thing about picks is like the trade calculator doesn't calculate it, but it's like going to a grocery store with a bag of oranges and trying to buy things with those oranges. You go up to the self checkout, they're not going to accept that. You know, picks. Every team will always want to pick. You never go to a team and say, "Hey, do you want a first?" And they're gonna be like, "Nah." You can go to a team and be like, "Hey, you want Tony Pollard?" And they'll be like, "No, dude. Like, get lost."
Yeah.
So to me, it's like you need to have enough money in the bank to actually go to the store when you have to buy something. Sometimes you can trade oranges for apples, and that works. And I will say, if you do want to plug in the answer now, I'd be looking to move like a Bo Nix or JJ McCarthy, move someone like that.
That third quarterback.
You know, yeah, just pick someone gross. You could do Geno Smith and pick up a running back, and now you're like, okay, cool. Like I'm good there. I traded JJ McCarthy for, not Derek Carr, but Derek Carr used to be kind of like that guy where it's like, okay, I just need 1 week of points.
All right. You know what, Guy? We'll get you in one. We'll get you in a Dynasty Daddy league.
Guy. We'll definitely get you in there.
We'll get that guy, you guy, and a lot of other guys, and maybe some girls. Any girls want to get into the leagues? Let us know. All right, Big Stebo made the trade. So this was to Sean, but I'm interjecting it because it's in the chat. Start 2 wide receiver. Still have CD. MHJ. Start 3 running back. Stack with Jacobs, Bijan, Kyron, and Argentina. Moved Amon-Ra. So this was the Amon-Ra.
Okay, where are we at?
Laporta. So this was the juiced. So I think this was moving Amon-Ra.
Oh, the 14.
Yeah. 101 Deebo.
Okay, moving on. Okay, yeah.
We love
so he has GT. Yeah. No, that's a good move.
We're reminiscing on 15 minutes ago that we couldn't remember. Okay. Oh, wait a second. Sumo Kid. Now, this is going to be a backtrack I want to take a look at. Because if this is... Oh, yeah. No, you did not overpay. So this is the Jayden Daniels trade. Getting Daniels, giving up the 104, 109, and Odunze. Still have Chase, Tyreek, Waddle. With 4 seconds. 4 seconds and 3/3. Like, that is enough wide receiver flexibility, firepower, flexibility with the seconds and thirds. Yeah, I'm not worried about getting Jayden Daniels there.
Yeah, no. I mean... And two, like you have Waddle, you have Chase, you still have the young guys. Like to me, I don't want to deplete all the young wide receivers. I do think that's probably one of the best assets you can hold. But obviously, Jayden Daniels is Jayden Daniels.
Yeah, and I know we kind of circled on the Jayden Reed stuff. I'm gonna put some good notes that will be made in chat. The 3 wide receiver set stuff. Josh Jacobs coming out and saying, like, your starting running back saying, like, we need to get a guy at the wide receiver position. Not great.
Yeah.
Dontavian Wicks is still going to be there to drop passes. So those are targets that aren't going to Reed that are being dropped by Wicks. But yeah, we'll see.
Reed also has a high drop rate as well.
Yeah.
And they were in the mix for the DK Metcalf trade. So they're obviously not happy. To me, it's kind of like it's just a bunch of mids. You have like 4 mid wide receivers. I do like Jayden Reed the most out of them all, but again, like just liking them isn't going to get me more than 7 points a week.
Yeah. Looking to add depth at wide receiver for the Amon-Ra MHJ question. Yeah, I think John, for that one, and I think a lot of the chat's agreeing. I'm not seeing much in the chat about I know Sean had said the flexibility and if it's a deep enough league, but I think the general sentiment, it is just so hard to move off those, Amon-Ra, CD, Puka, JJ guys for you're hoping you can reach that production consistently,
Yeah, sometimes you got to pay up. Like once you get those guys, you got to just enjoy it. I think Sean posted in the live stream Ask channel as well.
Okay. Nice.
If you want to get that set up.
Oh, okay, let's go. All right, I'll get let me throw the trade. I'm throwing the trade on the board, and I'm going to pull up the, I think you sent the Dynasty Daddy link, too.
Yeah, we can plug the site.
There we go. All right. We're doing a live. All right, here we go. So this is just initial thoughts. We got this up here. We've got Getting Kyler,
Let's see.
McBride, getting the Kyler McBride stack, 206.
Mm-hmm.
Giving up Hurts, Pat Fryermuth, the 309, and the 408. So here's the note, and I'm going to pull up the league. The WAR in a vanilla scoring league says elite QBs are gold, of course. So that's what's keeping me from pulling the trigger on moving Hurts. So this is not I don't believe this is an accepted trade. It looks like this is a pending.
It is a pending.
I'm pulling up the league right now.
It's I'm thinking about it.
All right, and
I'm looking at it. The wide receivers are loaded. I'll say that.
I'm starting here, and we'll get to the war chart, but I want to start here with the roster. So I know.
Ooh, that splash screen.
Did you like that? Okay, we've got so I believe this is it, because this is the team with Hurts. So Hurts, Herbert. So you're getting Kyler, moving off for Hurts. So you're going to have Herbert, Kyler, some backup quarterbacks. Tight end position, obviously you got Ertz behind. What would be? Oh, this is a nice team. Chase, Ceedee, Jacobs.
Yeah, that's what I mean. There's a lot of
Brown.
big names there.
So no 25 picks, and you're moving them in this trade to get this deal done. I think it was that 309, right? It was.
Yeah, the 309. I don't really care about that.
This guy? Yeah, look at this. Look at this live production here. This is why the people tune in. This is why we got 2 subscribers tonight. Thank you guys. So this is a trade here. So I'll pull up the war next, but give me your thoughts just looking at this team with the trade on top.
I think this team is incredibly loaded. Hurts is hard for me to move. I feel like he's kind of undervalued currently. But then you're also getting the elite tight end production. So to me, I'm like, I look at it fair. I think one of the things for me, like a blind spot, is in a non-tight end premium league, finding a value for a difference maker at tight end, to me, is hard. It's hard for me to be like, this is how much this player really should be worth.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, to me, I'm always like, I always just say I'm not going to pay the price and just assume I can, stream Ertz and Njoku and cheaper options. But I don't hate this. You do get the stack. I probably still lean Hurts though, just because I think the rushing upside of Hurts is just going to be elite, even if they take away the tush push. And that offense has always been, pretty solid, except for 2 years ago when they were a little weird for a couple weeks. But I mean, Hurts is always going to have the floor of like a rushing touchdown. Maybe he'll have that 1 week with 3 or something. And I do love Kyler. I do think his value is a little bit depressed, but I think there's a big gap between Kyler and Hurts at this point.
Yeah, I think this is pretty much. I mean, this is obviously we can talk about Trey McBride obviously Trey McBride's playing a big part in this role, but I think the big gap is your feelings between like Kyler long term and Hurts. I know it's not 10 premium. I think this is where. So we'll get the. So will this give me the war for this guy here? So you just want to look at. So it's not tight end premium. So you just see that big line down there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So this is going to be Bowers, Kittle, McBride. Man, in these vanilla scoring leagues, I totally get. I mean, it gets spooky moving off of the Hurts, Lamar, Jayden Daniels.
And I will say I do think WAR doesn't 100% show, because like this is kind of like true WAR, right? It doesn't. I don't have the data to say, this tight end, like Donald Parham or something got 2 touchdowns on 3 targets, like.
Right.
He would technically break into like a startable range. So I do think the high end guys that you always start every week and are always difference makers do get a bit of a boost that WAR doesn't show. And that to me is kind of like the blind spot, because I'm like, I know those elite tight ends are valuable. I do think they're a little bit more valuable than like what WAR can really show.
Yeah, but like still, captured WAR, right? So when you're looking at like yes, you can, and I will. I mean, I have a lot of leagues where like I was, buying into Hunter Henry as like my tight end, which like obviously was way better than expected last year with Drake May. But just like those random tight ends that can give you touchdowns and everything. For every tight end you start, that you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't pay nothing for this guy, and I got two catches and a touchdown. You get the wow, he got one target and it was a 6-yard reception, and like I'm playing against Trey McBride, who just had 9 for 80 and a touchdown. Well, not a touchdown, but 9 for 90.
It's hard. It's hard to quantify, but to me, like Jalen Hurts is in it. I just can't do it. If it was like a Herbert deal, and like I would do Herbert plus something.
Let's get the counter. Can we get the counter?
Then I would, but it's just too hard for me with someone that's literally been, I think, quarterback 3, like 2 or 3 the past 3 years. I think this year is like a little bit lower, but someone that's kind of locked into instant guaranteed elite production, I just can't give up.
Where's the... Oh, wait. Okay, so here's the... Oh, this guy's trying to get Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts QB room. Oh, just going to smack you down with the... Oh my gosh. All right, so he does have the 106. I mean, would your counter? So this is the
the McBride team.
He's an Eagles fan.
Oh gosh. Okay, so you get a little bit of extra, huh?
So this is we're looking at potential counter. I mean, would you do this trade if it was the 206 was the 106? For sure.
The 206 and the 106?
So instead of getting the 206 with Kyler and McBride, you're getting the 106. So it's Kyler, McBride, and the 106 for Hurts and Freiermuth in the 3rd and the 4th.
What would I get around the 106? It'd probably be like an Ohio State running back.
Yeah, you can look at your team. I mean, I don't even know if you would even really need to do that. That's the tough thing with this team is like, yes, getting McBride feels so good for this roster specifically, but you're good on running back.
Maybe you could get Tyler Warren, but I probably wouldn't want to take him with the 106 and a non-tight end premium.
Especially if you already have McBride, it just feels kind of like a wasted pick. If you're going through with that trade, yeah, I have to package the pick with Herbert and go get Burrow. Ooh, where are you at on that? I'm such a Herbert fanboy. I feel like I should excuse myself from packaging picks to move up to Burrow, even though I like Burrow too.
I like Burrow, but I'm
just such a believer, man.
I'm a prisoner of watching Burrow hurt his elbow every season except one, and then everyone believes, and then he gets hurt for like the next 2 years. So I have concerns about his health. That I honestly don't think the gap between like Herbert and Burrow is that huge. I think it's kind of just like
I love this team. I love this team.
This team is really well rounded.
Dude, I think you're fine. I'm not doing this, man. You can start Freiermuth and Ertz next season. Like that's fine.
Go ahead and get Jonnu. That's what you need. Go buy Jonnu for cheap.
Yeah. I don't hate the construction of the move. Like trying to get being fine getting a difference making tight end even in a non-tight end premium. I don't know. I don't feel the need to do it. You know.
I don't think it's a bad move. Do it if you could do it lower. No, I don't think it's a bad move. I just think it's hard. It's hard to get off like Kyler Murray was like a low end QB1, but every week everyone was like, okay, I don't feel like he is. You know, it was like it's an uninspiring like QB12. Hurts will have those weeks where he just runs for 2 push touchdowns and throws for 200 something yards, and you're like, wow, that's an easy 20 something points.
Mm-hmm.
Kyler never really has those. And that to me, that's just me, that's just the feeling. That's like watching Jayden Reed. To me, I would be really looking to try to buy, I think like a Jonnu. Like with Ertz was really good last year. Pick up a Jonnu and just feel fine just playing matchups there.
Yeah. What if I can get Barkley for Chase Brown and Ridley? I would do that in a second. I would do that. Yeah. Yeah, no. The time you took to write that on the chat, you should have been sending out the offer. But no, yeah. And here's what I'll say. I know you talked about your running back room scares you. I will say, like, yes, I mean, Dave Montgomery coming off the injury, he's going to have the same role for the Lions, maybe slightly less. Like, I totally get with what Gibbs did at the end of last season in the playoffs, like, they're going to want to give him more work, but they don't want to deviate too far from what they've been doing. Josh Jacobs is for sure going to smash next season. I kind of treat running backs in 1 to 2 year windows anyways. Chase Brown, I mean, I love the move. I think I'm totally fine. Definitely send that out. The guy with Barkley has to rebuild. Yeah, I would try.
Yeah, the fact that he has to rebuild is crazy. Like, how many teams? If you pulled up all of Sleeper, how many teams with Barkley are rebuilding? Yeah. That's got to be so small. Yeah, I mean, that's what I would do. I would go to all the teams that are rebuilding and just be like, let me get your old guy. Let me get your Christian McCaffrey. Let me get your Barkley. Just try to buy a couple cheap guys that are gonna smash.
So this is the Barkley guy. I mean, the RB rank's got to be good. So it's not this guy.
Barkley.
Man, I got to work on my Dynasty Daddy being able to evaluate. Oh, he just doesn't have a lot of running backs. That's why it's low.
You can search it.
Oh yeah, up here. Okay.
Do, Dynasty Daddy 101 here.
All right, here we go. Yep. Okay. Even though I found it, let's see what it looks like. There we go. I've never done that
overall
before.
rank 11th, but starter rank 5, which makes sense because he has Barkley, Kamara, and Aaron Jones, which are all going to rank pretty highly.
I can't imagine this guy wanting to do that move. Like if I was him, I would be trying to get picks if I was really going into a rebuild and moving off of Barkley with this wide receiver room. But if you think that's possible,
I mean, just throw like the 309 in there. You know, this would be like.
Do you have any insight on like what this guy likes to do? Like it looks like right here, I'm seeing no first, no second. Looks like tried to go in this year with some sort of Kamara, Barkley, Aaron Jones, wide receivers. Like obviously, like Cooper disappointed. Diggs got hurt. That's probably a big part of it. Keenan was okay, but not super difference making. Probably started Kincaid a lot. Kelsey was great, but not amazing.
I don't want to say this team is like, unless if you've talked to them, I don't know if, from just looking as like Dynasty Daddy team, I don't look at it as like a team that's trying to rebuild. No 2025 picks or no high value 2025 picks. This team's probably going to try to run it back one more year.
Yeah. I don't imagine. I mean, maybe I would even throw in. I mean, would you throw in a pick this year? Would you throw in?
I would throw in any cheap ones. I would probably even throw in like a second.
You got that 309? I mean, dude, the 309.
Yeah, I would give all these.
I'll tell you what.
All the fourths, all the thirds. Like, if that gets it done, do it.
Yeah, that 309 starts to look a lot more appealing when you have no picks in the draft. You're like, maybe one of my guy falls. Damian Martinez might fall a little bit.
Maybe hits the next Tyrone Tracy or something. The next Bucky.
The only people who actually rebuild are in these dynasty communities. Normally, dynasty players exist for sure. I will say, I think the rebuild. It's not, I mean, I see it. I mean, retool is probably a better word than rebuild, where it's like, let me just do it's like a focused, I only do like focused, committed tanks, either from the startup or I can like, I know there's a set of moves I can make at the end of the season that will position me to either have a good pick for this next rookie draft or the year after, just because there's no way I can make this team compete. But I think you do want to be, I know there's been a lot of content and stuff on, you want to be putting yourself in a position to be able to compete as long as possible, just with fantasy football variants.
Yeah, and I mean, and too, like the shallower your league is, like if your league is not like a 14 team times by 11 or something crazy, like those leagues you do have to rebuild, and those are going to be slogs. But in a shallower league or just a normal league, in Dynasty, you should always be at least on the fringe of making the playoffs. Like even in your retooled league, like it either needs to be a very quick, like 1 year, I'm going to be out of it, I'm going to be back. Or it needs to be like, I'm just going to try to thread the needle and say, can I get into the playoffs and just get lucky? Because if you actually look at all the data, once you make the playoffs, it's literally like 50-50. Like, to actually win. Like, you still have to just win the head-to-heads at the end of the day. And you can just get lucky. I mean, we see that every year where it's just one, Amari Cooper 2 years ago drops 50 points in the playoffs. And it's like, well, like if you had, Amari Cooper wasn't a dynasty wide receiver 1. Joe Flacco 2 years ago was literally like QB3 overall during the playoffs. You see that every year. So just because like now as the creator of Dynasty Daddy, doesn't mean my site has flaws. But just because my site doesn't tell you you're a contender doesn't mean I think you should give up. Like, the worst thing you can do is get stuck in like rebuilding hell, where you just have nothing no one wants, and you held on to certain players too long to where now no one values them. Like, you need to be quick. Being a rebuilder, you need to honestly be the most active.
Yeah. This what up, K Scott? Would watch a Dynasty Daddy 101 video for sure. There's a couple on the channel, right? I know you've got like the season 3. That's the channel trailer that walks through some of the newer stuff, but you've got some guides.
Yeah, and two, I think I should put more out there. I know I have some stuff on DD Fantasy Football as well. I think the Ray G channel, I think pre DD Fantasy Football, where I did a couple of those as well. But I should put some more stuff about kind of here's basic overlay of a lot of tools. And you can I mean, if you filter by oldest videos, you can see some really old, kind of season 1 Dynasty Daddy. It was a little bit rougher back in the day, but yeah, I do think that's
let us and let us know too, like in the link in the description for the Discord. Definitely join there. There's there's feature requests is one of the channel that you can ask for things, and a lot of those I feel like are people asking for things that you already have incorporated and are like, yeah, you could do that. It's like right here, just check it out.
That's like a thing on me where I'm like, man, like I need to get my messaging better to where it's like people are like, oh, I know where to look for certain things.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, let us know in the Discord if there's like, hey, would love to see whether it's like a practical, like how do you use Dynasty Daddy in your leagues? Like I know we do some things where like I was showing like when I'm trying to make trades, I'll tell you what I do all the time. I'm joining a new orphan. I'm co-managing a team with one of my buddies, and we were looking at the team today. I asked for the sleeper link, and I'll tell you what, no sponsor, but I plugged it into the Dynasty Daddy, and I went here and I looked at our running back room because we're hurting at receiver for sure. And I said, let me filter like this. Let's see who has the worst running backs. Is this a team that wants to compete but has crappy running backs? Like, how can I move? Like those are, position things. You get to look at team. I just love looking at this like quick glance of all the teams. Like you can do this in Sleeper and you can go through every team. And I'm sure a lot of you people in your home leagues have teams memorized, but you're not doing that for every single league you're in. So I just love this quick glance view where I can say, hey, this is somebody I can reach out to, this guy right here, this guy's not starting a running back next season currently. Like, okay, he's got Genty. So you start to like paint the picture. What is this guy thinking about his roster? And like, how can I, what is he thinking? And how can my trade offer hit a little light bulb in his mind when he sees it come through? Like, ooh, okay. That's what I use Dynasty Daddy for on the most basic level. And then obviously there's scoring format, war stuff. So yeah, we can definitely let us know what you guys would want to see. And I'm sure we could figure something out.
Yeah, no, that's definitely something I should do. It's touching watching you explain how you use it. It's cool. It's cool seeing people using my site. It's great. I remember back in the day where like I had like 10 people using my site, and I'd be like so excited whenever it's mentioned, and now everyone's using it. Feels like so look how far we've come.
Shout out Jeremy, guys. Come on, can we get some clap emojis in the chat? Appreciate it. No, I love Dynasty Daddy. Obviously. All right, we got Droidica, the guy. Sorry, so has the picks 109 and 110 after the startup. Top QBs are Hurts and Caleb. Okay, so this is. Oh, okay. Wait. After
Hurts and Caleb.
Rome, Godwin, Ayuk, Mooney. Do I keep the picks or who to target? Okay, I'm trying to paint this picture. So is this a have picks 109 and 110 after
I think he got
the
109 and 110 or the 110 in his startup draft.
Drafted those rookie picks in the startup draft.
Yeah.
And then top QBs are Hurts and Caleb. So is this a
Saquon Etienne? I think he's saying, should I move my picks? Like, should I move my picks or should I take my picks?
All right, you take this question because I'm having trouble piecing what like top positions, what this means in relation to the startup and the picks. So while my brain figures it out, you answer the question.
Okay, yeah. I will say, not to plug the channel, shouts to everyone here because we just dropped a video talking about different picks, kind of the ranges I would be looking at. if I was to move these picks. And that video has been popping off, doing very well. So appreciate everyone who's checked that out. For this situation, I think the biggest thing I would say is I would maybe look to oh boy.
Check out the video, guys. Yeah. All right, check out the video. All right, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I mean, I would say I would potentially look to try to move one. I do like something when I was going through that video. I was looked at how first round picks and honestly early second round picks as well hold their value multiple years out. If you look at startup drafts, is like oftentimes these players are players that still are in the top, the first 5 rounds. So to me, I do want to still have a pick, but since you have 2, you kind of have the flexibility where you're like, okay, cool, like I can shop around, see if there's someone that will give a certain player. And it's a great option to look at, filter by teams that have the lowest starter rank and say, okay, well, this team has Christian McCaffrey. Why would they want Christian McCaffrey? The rest of the team stinks. Derek Carr was their wide receiver or their quarterback 1. Like a lot of things can happen. But I mean, too, at the 109, you could get crazy and take like a Travis Hunter or something like that. I don't know. But I mean, I honestly, I think
he's not there if you're in a league with me. I'll tell you that much. I'm fully bought in.
I think.
Okay, I understand. My brain processed what's going on here.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Okay. There we go.
But I don't have much to add. No, I like just this is his team.
Potentially look to move one. Yeah, potentially look to move one. I wouldn't really want to a vet though. Like if I could get a young player that's better than Jayden Reed. I don't want you to say I traded my 110 for Jayden Reed. No shame to Jayden Reed, but you need to make the deal that's like somewhat better than Jayden Reed.
Mm-hmm.
Ayuk, we don't know if he's going to start or he's even going to really play much next year. Godwin, he's injured, older. Rome, young, but still kind of a wild card. ETN, we don't really know what's going on with him. Barkley, he's an older guy, but still elite production. Brian Robinson might have some competition. Quarterbacks are set. To me, I'm just trying to see, can I pick off like a youngish guy that gives me a little bit of that flexibility at like the wide receiver 2 range, flex option, or maybe a running back. It's harder with running back.
Yeah, it's tough because this team, I mean, seeing Hurts, Caleb, Saquon, it gets you going, man. You're excited. You're like, oh, we're winning this league. Like we're getting a bye. Mm-hmm. And then you start getting to the receivers and like, yes, like love Rome. Is he going to smash? Godwin, love Godwin. Is he going to smash starting off the season, coming back from the injury? Like I'm hopeful. And I think those are Ayuk, kind of same situation. Mooney. I wouldn't hate seeing, I don't know, I know you talked about like trying to get a young guy. I mean, obviously if you're able to get, especially at the receiver position, a smash young guy, would you be willing to like fill out the receiver room with just like, you just get one crusty just to kind of pair along Saquon? I know you talked about crusty running back. Like I wouldn't hate that either with next to Saquon going into the season. But would you try to get one crusty, both position, receiver and wide receiver and running back?
I'd be more inclined to probably, like, I don't know the starter count here, but I'd probably be more inclined to say, let me just glob both of these together and try to get like a guy I feel really good in. Like obviously I'm not going to be able to get like Puka or anything like that, but I can probably get someone that
Rice
is at least more insulated. Yeah, like can I get, Rice? Can I do Ayuk in the 109 and get Rice or something like that? Even though it might be a little bit of an overpay, it's like, okay, Rice is coming off an injury too, but Ayuk had the worst injury and now is in this weird offensive situation where I feel like ever since the contract, they never really liked him. Be much better to just have Rice tied to Mahomes, deal with that. I'd probably look to do that. Can I take one of these question mark players, ditch it to my pick and go up and get a guy? Because I do think like at the 109, you could go get like a Derrick Henry or someone like that, but I don't want to stack too many old pieces. Like eventually, like you got to pay the credit card, and all those old players are not going to help out. So
it is a little tough
kind of
to
a weird spot.
So it's after the startup, and I mean I know we all know how leagues. I mean there's some excitement to do dynasty trades after a startup, but it is a little bit tougher because even though you shouldn't do this, everyone drafts their team expecting like this is probably gonna. I mean, the rookie draft makes it a little bit different, a little bit weirder, but I feel like for the most part, most leagues, people aren't like, all right, now I got to move like everything I've done, unless they've drafted specifically in a certain way, like to tank or to whatever. It's tough, but I definitely would get freaky, man. I see. I mean, obviously the 109 and the 110, but talks about trading back to get flexibility and getting 226 firsts after trading back from the fifth round. Yeah, let's see what we can do.
Like a Jacoby Myers in like a second or something like that.
Okay, that's not the kind of freaky I was talking about, but I don't hate it. I'm a big Jacoby Myers guy. I was talking about getting crazy.
Say, have you never done a startup draft that has picks in it?
Oh no, so my confusion was I saw startup and started seeing top QBs, and then my brain was like, this is a one quarterback, like Hurts is still there, but like you took the 109. I was like
you meant like he's on the clock still.
Yeah, and then I saw like keep the pick. Guys, I play pickup basketball tonight. All right, I'm starting to exercise a little bit more. I got to drink more water. Okay.
What was the stat line?
Tough first game. I went like 1 for 4 from 3, but started getting the rock second and third game. I think I went undefeated tonight, which I was only playing for an hour. The rest of the guys are staying longer, playing for 2 hours. So maybe I was going a little bit too hard, knowing that I could conserve the energy for that. Ooh, love Bucky. Same. Any Bucky haters? Is anyone fearful? I feel like the nice thing about the Bucks is it's so unlikely that they do take one of these running backs high in this draft, just with how they talk about Sean Tucker and having White. It's definitely possible because I don't know if White's long for the Buccaneers in the next 2 seasons, but at least heading into next year,
there's definitely some Bucky. Insulation. Yeah, I mean, I think he's steamed up a little bit too high, in my opinion. Like,
yeah,
I'm like, wait a minute, guys. Like, he is a late round. Like, not that draft capital means everything, but he was a late round pick. He's not like this super elite insulated running back. You know, like I'm like, things can change very quick.
Somebody send Jeremy Bucky Irving highlights from last season.
No, I trust me. I had him on my Scott Fishbowl. And he crushed it. So I was very happy about that. But I will say, like, Bucky Irving to me is just testament that you need to take running backs late in drafts. Just take those running backs.
ETN was not doing what Bucky did last season. I don't know. When you're left in a deal,
ETN had first round draft capital.
I agree. I don't think the Bucks are safe. I know, but here's my thing and here's what I'll say. We talked about this with Brees, but I mean, like, running backs, I think for me, when you show that you can be efficient and you've shown a team that, like, I think Bucky will have a role for the duration of his rookie contract with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers that is similar to what he did last season. Even if they add a guy because, Rachaad White's on the last year of his deal, or they're not in love with Sean Tucker. Like, even if they bring in somebody who is going to do what Rachaad White did for this team, like, I just don't see a world where Bucky's getting... Now, you could talk to me about, well, he's a running back. I want to move off for running back. Totally get that. Like, I'm totally down with that. I've been shopping. I love Bucky, and I've been shopping. How can I get off of Bucky to get into, maybe somebody's down on Puka because Devontae Adams is there. Like, I've been shopping those for sure. Like, I'm totally with that. But, I think Bucky
I'm a fan. I'm a fan of Bucky. I just think the price. I think it's like this awkward tier where you have these running backs that are all like, everyone's like, oh, this is the order they should be in, and then you get to this range where you're like, I guess it's Bucky. I guess Bucky's the next one, and I think that's kind of the issue. He's just getting steamed up because when you look at running back rankings, there's the top guys, and then there's this big drop off, and you're like, well, Bucky's probably the next best guy.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Yeah, and it's it can get dangerous when you're looking at running back rankings, like versus tiers, and then I think that's when you can really take advantage of that kind of thing. So, I loved it. Appreciate the love on the video. Definitely check it out. Give a like there and give a like here. I feel like I remember to do the like plug, and shout out to Sean for putting it in the chat so I pull it up on screen when it happens.
Yeah, Sean's keeping us honest.
For sure. Definitely hit the like, hit the sub. Let's get that. What if that was 1,067? Imagine. All right, here we go. Connor.
It does count up. I've seen it go up.
We have evidence.
Slowly.
We have evidence. I have the 101, the 104, and the 108 in a rookie draft dynasty league. Who should I take at the 4 and 8? All right, so this is this is probably like would need to see like what the team's looking like and everything to even like discuss this without knowing any context at all. Like obviously we're gonna need to see landing spots. Like we're expecting Hampton to go in the first. We're expecting Tet to go in the first. Super flex, Cam Ward's more likely than not going 101.
I'll say this guy is in my home league, so we can pull.
Okay.
I can shoot.
Is this the home league? Are you getting asked about?
This is the one that started Dynasty Daddy.
Dang.
So I'll send you that one.
All right. We'll get deep in the weeds on that one. But the other question was any hot takes on Joe Milton, which is a very interesting way to
I'll give you background.
Post that question. Do I have a hot take on Joe Milton?
Dak Prescott is the backup now. No, I mean, I will say so every year what we do is we do an in-person draft, and our in-person draft for this league is Memorial Day in May. So basically last year, Connor, for some reason, got obsessed with Joe Milton and basically
rightfully so, maybe
he traded I think it was a 5th round. He traded for a 5th round pick and he just gave a 4th round pick next year. So everyone's like, dude, why'd you do that? Pick Joe Milton. And then obviously Joe Milton, and the whole reason he wanted Joe Milton was because he could throw an orange really far. That was the process.
Which is true.
Can't argue with that. Can't argue with that.
You cannot argue
with
that.
But it turns out Joe Milton might honestly have some sort of value here because he got traded. People are believing him. Dak Prescott, somewhat injury prone. So I mean, I don't hate it. Like it's probably the best Cowboys quarterback or backup quarterback in a long time.
I'll tell you what. I just want to transport us to preseason week 3. What are people paying for Joe Milton after like him having a really good game in a preseason game? Because we got to see some Trey Lance. Now it wasn't great, but we got.
I know
see
his value. His value spiked. Like I remember, I was looking at the trade database and it literally like tripled. I mean, it went. I have it right here on my screen. It went from 120 trades in a week to 393 in just in 1 week. And now it's back to the same range.
And I will say it kind of makes sense because there were the reports of New England is willing to trade Milton. Like that, like kind of came out and was like, oh, shoot. Like, so, and honestly, it's kind of interesting because you're surprised that one of these, like the Giants I don't know. Like there's a lot that goes into like what teams would trade for what players or whatever, what situation they're in. Are the coaches getting fired? Thank you guys for the subs. I see the number going up. I appreciate it.
It is going up. We're getting close to 70.
Let's go. What a great marketing tactic. Shout out to Jeremy for getting the overlay updated there. And shout out to you guys.
I will say I'm seeing multiple 2nd round picks for Joe Milton. 2026 second today for Joe Milton. Okay,
that
this
has
one's
to
insane.
be a preseason scoring league. You get points in the preseason.
10 teams start 10. Jalen Hurts for Joe Milton, the 2027 first and a 2nd.
Dang, that 27 first better smash.
That happened today. That league might have folded from that trade. Another 2nd for Milton and Ty Chandler. Does that mean Joe Milton or Christian Kirk? I'd probably take a Joe Milton there.
Yeah. I think Joe Milton's a fine buy for players you're not sad if they just disappeared off your roster tomorrow. Like if you logged into Sleeper and you were like, where did my
He's one of the guys that was like, I am selling him if I have him right now. Like I am blind. Like
I'd go for picks. I'd try to get picks.
If there's 12 teams in my league, 11 teams are getting a trade. That's Joe Milton for any second. Like I'm just going to blast every single team and be like, can I please?
Well, are you doing a third? I would do a third. Because I think you just can probably. I mean, in most leagues, I guess like in like
probably do a
shallow
third and like a gross backup.
Okay, yeah, I could see that.
Like this is where Derek Carr comes into it. Can I get Derek Carr in a third? And if they're like, oh, like yeah, I'll probably do that, right? Because if Joe Milton does start, people are gonna like him.
Yeah.
Because I mean, he's looked pretty good. That's what people need to see.
A lot of Jacoby love. in the chat. You're in a safe place here with
Yes, this is a Jacoby.
This is
circle.
pro Jacoby stream.
A lot of
Pat,
I don't like something, and then I love it.
Who can hate Bucky? I mean, you're gonna hear the draft capital. I think you'll probably hear it. I don't know. I think you still hear it in the 2026 draft. I'm not gonna lie. If like it's status quo and White doesn't get re-signed, and he signs with like the Bengals on a 2-year, $8 million deal or whatever, like you'll hear they're gonna bring in a guy. Like White sucks. That's why Bucky smashed these past 2 seasons.
All I will say is the reason people say it is you have players like Dameon Pierce, who I think was a 4th round pick, had a great rookie season. Everyone's like, oh, like he's the guy. They're gonna build around him, and then like what? It went out the window. Now I do think Bucky Irving's way better, but that's still something to consider. It's like I think the fact that you can take a Bucky Irving and probably get like Jonathan Taylor plus a little thing. I'm like
definitely
like,
shop
at
your
a
Bucky.
certain point.
I would say cross positionally too. I love shopping Bucky cross positionally right now. And it's just more of a how I want to handle the running back position versus
exactly.
Bucky.
I don't think Bucky's a bad player. I just like his price is just too high for me to be like, yes, I'm just gonna sit on it.
Ooh, would you give up Chase Brown or Bucky for Rice? What would the package be? So this is a 10-team 1 quarterback. Start 8. This is kind of interesting because in these like shallower leagues, the like difference making that you're hoping to get from these players, it makes it a little more interesting. I mean I'd rather have Bucky than Chase Brown for sure.
Yeah, I was about to say. I mean, if you could, I do think Chase Brown will certainly have competition because I think Zach Moss had like an injury that was like
the next
like he might never play again. Like he kind of has that.
Shout out Chris Carson. Oh no, shout out Chris Carson. I love Chris Carson. Was on every single one of Will's redraft leagues. There was not you could not find a redraft roster that did not have Chris Carson.
He was the perfect like crusty. Like everyone's like, oh, he's done, and then he'd go out and have 10 points per game, but he just do it in an ugly way, and no one would want him. It's kind of like like an Aaron Jones now, where it's like, well, he's a guaranteed 10 points probably, but
yeah, and
I
think,
definitely would get rid of Chase Brown.
So yeah, I think I would probably do that. I think the receiver too, and I think you'll have a lot of like not even just the full life player take, but I think like Dynasty you just have to think in terms of like windows. So like not even windows of competing. I'm just talking about like player value windows and like when you can move these players. So trading Chase Brown for Rashee Rice, you're gonna get he's looking healthy. You're gonna get he played this first reps with Patrick Mahomes in the preseason, and look, he caught a 10-yard reception. Like you're gonna get these value bumps of like, oh, he's coming back. He's going to smash. He's healthy for, whatever. They're ramping him up and look what he's doing while he's being ramped up. Like you're going to have opportunities, I think, to cash out on Rice too. And I know you, we did the Jeremy Rashee Rice, value conversation last stream too, if you want to reiterate.
Well, yeah, I mean, Rashee Rice is my victory lap because I just remember everyone's like panic selling. And I'm like, why would you panic sell a guy that's super young, elite production, tied to Mahomes?
Any thoughts on Warriors Grizzlies tonight? This is the NBA play-in. Shout out to my Pistons. Pistons in 6.
Pistons? Okay.
Cade, best player in the Knicks Pistons series. Don't at me.
Are you going?
My buddy was talking to me about it. I don't know if I have going to the Pistons money, but we'll see. He might be able to convince me. We'll see.
I heard that they were like only letting people from Detroit like buy tickets, which I was like, that's pretty sick.
I don't know exactly what the whole situation is, but I feel like a lot of teams do that kind of thing where it's like you'll be refunded or whatever. I don't know. Whatever. Go Pistons.
When I go to Hornets games, no one shows up. So, but yeah, I mean, I think Warriors, Grizz. We're going Warriors. That's where.
Here's all I say, Case guy. I got the DMs. This boy was asking me if he could get Bucky for the 104 or the 105 in a league I'm in with him. That's all I'm gonna say. But no, we'll touch on this. I don't hear any
104.
Hardly anybody talking about a Bucky regression without Cohen. I think it's worth considering more. Here's what I'll say. And like, yes, some of the Bucky production stuff, like he was getting those kind of like screen getting him out in space. But like, I don't know, man. I just like feel like any offense can get their running back out in space. And all I care about is an efficient running back and a team that's willing to give that efficient running back like space touches, like a Bucky does. That gives you that upside.
Yeah, I mean, I think too, like what I would add is they have guys they like, and like Sean Tucker, Rashad White, but they also don't have anyone that is better currently than Bucky Irving. And given that they have 3 guys they like at that position, I'm certain they're not going to probably bring in anyone of note. So, I mean, I think he'll probably be. I think he'll smash next year, to be honest. I think he'll be a phenomenal player. But I also think there's going to be a lot of really good running backs. I can say, hey, instead, let me get Derrick Henry in a first or something. You know, like get Derrick Henry plus something.
Let me
like that to
give
me
up
is a lot more
Bucky and an early second. Like, can I get in? Can I even come to the table with the BTJ late first and Bucky?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Is that sort of conversation?
That's a conversation is why I'm like, you got to sell, because I don't think Bucky Irving makes the jump to Jahmyr Gibbs or Bijan or Gene T. Like I just don't think he can make like the Barkley jump. Like the only way you become like an elite running back in dynasties, you have to either be Saquon Barkley or Christian McCaffrey in their prime, or you have to have like the perfect profile, being Gibbs, being Bijan, a Gene T. I just don't think, I don't think he's going to be Barkley.
We got him, guys. We found the Bucky hater. No, I'm just kidding. I still want Bucky. Hey, if you wanna come to the table with a Bucky relevant asset, we've established the value he carries. We've also established that I'm willing to trade him. So also I'm stacked at running back in that league. I got Breece Hall.
Yeah, Breece Hall's back. I will say Sean was saying, do the Hornets players even show up? And no, they do not. When you go to a Hornets game, you can watch like the best players for pretty cheap though, so that is a benefit. There you
go. All right, we got we'll do this one. So I'll just do normal scoring Superflex league. Cam Ward, Bryce, Penix, rank them. Ooh, I think I think I have to go Bryce. I'm going Bryce third, but I'll let you talk me out of that if you've got anything for me. And it's not even that I love Cam or love Penix.
Oh yeah.
But I just feel like I've seen more. I mean, Cam Ward's tough, but I think you're getting a reroll on what's maybe not a better situation.
It's all within the same tier.
For sure.
But I would probably go Ward, Penix, and Bryce. And it's not because I doubt Bryce. As a Panthers fan, I have to have a little bit of hopium. But I don't think Bryce, when he does well, directly correlates to fantasy points. Like I think he can win with while also putting up games where you're like, that was it.
Yeah.
And that to me is when I'm picking a player, I don't really want that. Whereas I feel like a Ward, Penix we haven't seen as much. I know he can throw really well. So but Andy's a little bit older and has injury concerns. So that's why I would just say Ward is someone that I would probably rather have, just because there's not the drama of the Falcons they still have Kirk Cousins and stuff Falcons. I'd much rather just take the young guy that literally we haven't seen yet. But I do think all of them are within the same tier.
Ward, we'll see what it looks like in the NFL, but Ward can run. Like there is a chance that we get like Herbert level rushing from Cam Ward, which is like a nice floor for someone who I think has solid arm talent, and is a decent prospect.
This is cracking me up, John P. You should do a league with all your dynasty children. I've never.
I will say I don't want to leak anything, but like we would work on stuff. And like we would have to do like keywords for things, and for me it's like, okay, let me send something to Jeremy on Discord. Like, okay, the code is daddy, and I just got Discord DMs with Jeremy that are just like daddy. Hopefully people don't. Hopefully people don't open my DMs and think I'm just like, that's how I say hi to you or something.
Yeah, no leaks there.
Trying to move Rattler, but no one is buying.
1069 subs.
Oh, let's go.
We're close to 70. Yeah, trying to move Rattler. what would you even pay for Rattler? Would you even pay like a?
I'm just not. I'm one of those people
Yeah.
that is not. But I think it's tough for these quarterbacks that we've seen it, right?
Mhm.
Like he got his audition and he wasn't terrible, but he was not okay, the Saints are going to give him 2 years, like that's just not happening. Like there's a world where okay, the Saints are kind of doing this blow up thing and it's like, oh, like maybe Rattler's going to start at the beginning of the season. Even then, what are you
They're
even
never
getting for
blowing
him?
up.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I can't even
They re-signed Kamara. There's no way they're blowing up.
third in a backup. Yeah, and here's the thing. You're doing So wait, you're
If I
saying
get
you
a
would
third straight up.
Yeah. I mean, I think he's in the fourth category of like, do fourths even matter in this league? Like, does it make more sense for me to turn that fourth into a quarterback that could play games in the NFL? Yeah.
It's hard with a fourth. Like I feel like a fourth, you never really have a market. Like it's always a throw-in. But like the gap between a fourth and a third is kind of like realistically is very small because like the hit rates are basically zero. So it's kind of like, but yeah, I mean, I would take any backup. I mean, it could be, third and Tom Brady. I'll do it. Like, I don't care.
Tom Brady.
Yeah, like to me, I have a hard time sitting here thinking there's a world where they don't bring in a quarterback and or draft a quarterback. And they have that 9th pick. So I could totally see them just saying, hey, this draft class isn't super deep. The videos and stuff I've watched and podcasts, I've heard it's there's like a top 8 or 10 so players that people see, but like there's not as many first round grade players. Now I'm not a professional scout, but I could totally see them just being like, screw it. Let's just pick Jackson Dart at 9 and see if it works.
Yeah.
And that might be crazy, but we literally saw Penix go to the Falcons after they gave Kirk Cousins, half the state in guaranteed money. So, anything's possible after that.
Okay. All right. I have an update. The comment was for Joe Milton, the third in a backup.
Oh,
not for
that makes sense. Yes.
Okay.
No,
You're
third and backup's
approved.
a perfect deal.
Approved.
Yes. I was about to say a third and a backup for Rattler. It would be crazy.
All right, Lamar and Diggs and a third or JD5. Are you adding on to like anything of value to Lamar to get Jayden Daniels? I mean, in a startup, I'm probably taking Jayden Daniels ahead of Lamar. But like if you would play Diggs and a third matters in your league, are you moving that for Jayden Daniels?
This is a tough one.
Do people talk too much or not enough about buying years in Dynasty?
I think it matters somewhat, but I think people care about it too much. Like I get conversations where it's like, oh, like what year should I sell this player? Or like any running back after 26 is toast. And I'm like, well, like it's kind of case by case. And I think to me, like if I am competing, I honestly would rather just take Lamar, probably like straight up. Just because like we've seen it multiple years. I do think JD5 is set, but if I'm a rebuilder and I have like Lamar or something, or if I'm like, okay, I'm kind of retooling, I'm going to try to buy those years. And if I can do something where it's like, I throw a Diggs, I throw a third, sure. But you should honestly be able to just add a third and get it done. It's because to me, they're all the same. Like
at
Josh Allen, Lamar, JD5.
I was going to ask, so at what point, this is like so, we're picking hairs here, but at what point are you willing to add not something of like real value, but like kind of value? Is it Hurts? Like, would you add on to Hurts to get into Josh Allen, Lamar, JD5? Or is he kind of in that like, he's an elite quarterback who's going to score rushing touchdowns and run the ball? Like, I'm just holding on to that.
I do think I would. I think I would just because
I would add fake value onto Hurts to get to those guys for sure.
Yeah. I wouldn't be desperate to do it, but I do think Hurts doesn't have like the passing ceiling that we saw from like Lamar Jackson last year.
He does have the contract, which helps a lot.
Yeah. And I mean, he's a Super Bowl MVP. So like, you know, like we've only seen Philly kick out one Super Bowl winning quarterback before. So
I think we have I think this is a live trade negotiation. Connor, did you hear what they said about Lamar for JD5? I think he's trying to get this deal closed. He's bringing it, and that's what your Dynasty Daddies are here for. All right, I'm never saying that again. It just I thought it was funny at the time. Besides Shedeur and Ward, what QB tickles your fancy in the rookie draft? Well, I think it sounds like Dart is.
I think Dart is the QB3 by a lot.
Is the QB3 just in terms of like projected draft capital? I will say Milrow from a fantasy upside perspective. I know you've talked about in videos before and recently on the streams that like the Milrow fantasy upside of like what if like the Saints take him in the second and it's like, oh my gosh, like he's gonna start games for this team. Like no Derek Carr at the beginning of the season.
That's true.
Like there are situations where Milrow is like, holy cow. So I could see him turning into like, hey, maybe you take second round Milrow, like, maybe Dart goes at the end of the first and Milrow goes at the beginning of the second. It's like, shoot, like maybe I'm going Milrow. Like I could see that happening. So for fantasy, it is tough when you get into that rushing. But I think like longevity, prospect, I think it's Ward, Shedeur, Dart, Milrow. I don't want to name too many quarterbacks after that. I do not believe in Will Howard,
like
Quinn
Howard.
Ewers. Yeah, I'm not a believer. I think those guys are going to kind of fall into that Matt Corral, like third, fourth at best draft capital.
Yeah, I mean, you it's a Spencer Rattler where it's like, okay, cool, like, you hope that they're a Joe Milton where it's like you have a time to sell them. But I mean, I think realistically, like you kind of covered what I would say. I do think Dart's going to get the capital. To me, capital at quarterback is probably one of the most important things. Just because if anyone was good at scouting quarterbacks, they would be on an NFL team because it's like the hardest and most valuable position you can have. So to me, I agree. I do think if Milrow and Dart are close in draft capital, I'm fine taking Milrow over Dart. But I think Dart probably is going to be higher by a significant amount. It's going to probably be like 20 to 30 picks.
It would kind of need to be one of those, like the situation I described of like second round to the Saints. Like that's pretty nuts landing spot. It has
to be like a perfect spot.
Like people are talking about the Jets where it's like, okay, Fields got that 2-year and like, I mean, I don't know. We'll see who's, So I think it would have to kind of be that nuts.
We have Sean with a little bit of a hot take, I'd say.
Ooh, let's see it. You want to pull it up?
The Sanders over Ward. Are you a Sanders believer?
I will say the one thing I will give Shedeur is the Colorado offensive line was terrible. So as far as like NFL readiness, like I could see people kind of using that as an argument of like he has played with the, like for the Giants specifically, where it's like, okay, you're going to put him behind like probably another bad offensive line year for the Giants. And like he has played through, can extend plays, isn't really a runner. Like I think he has it in him. Like I don't think he's like a terrible athlete. But I think Cam Ward throws a better ball. Like it's just true. Like he just has more zip. I'm kind of with the NFL close. Community. I think that we're seeing some. I don't know. We don't know what it's gonna look like. We know how crazy the NFL draft is compared to like all the mock drafts and speculation we had leading up to it. Mm-hmm. But there is more murmurs. One that the Browns and Giants are out. I know there's some like I'm sure the front office is like, no, you are going to bring Sanders in and see if he can be our quarterback. Yeah. Like that's going to happen
especially
for sure.
The Giants.
Yeah. But I think it's sounding more likely that he's a 10s, 20s draft pick than a top 10 draft pick. So I'm kind of leaning into trusting the NFL there.
I think Sanders won't go later than 9. Like, there's no way he goes past the Saints after that injury. Like,
I will say it's kind of an interesting class where, like, there are probably better players, but I don't know if it's as, like, the high-end talent isn't super deep. Like, it's like those, like, Carter, Hunter, like, you can talk about Ward. And then it's like, okay, like, Genty, like, at the running back position. I mean, there's, like, Membu. I like Will Johnson. There's some injury stuff, but I think the general consensus is it's going to be hard for teams to trade back because everyone's going to want to trade back, like in that kind of like middle first range. So it'll be interesting to see what that kind of looks like for the quarterbacks.
That's why I'm a little bit excited. Panthers got that 8th pick. I think we can. What I've heard is like it's kind of like 12 to 14 players with that first round traditional draft grade. So I'm like, okay, cool. Like Panthers at least are going to get someone good so they can just completely whiff.
Yeah. It wouldn't surprise me at all with the Derek Carr stuff for him to go to the Saints. I'm just like, as an NFL pretend GM, I've played franchise mode on Madden. It is hard. It is hard for me to look at that Saints team and be like, let's use this first round pick on a QB, even though they need to get somebody.
Look, I agree with you, but I think they needed to rebuild before they signed Derek Carr, and so we're still here.
Yeah, true. Oh, we got a couple of dart over Sanders for me. I actually don't hate that from a like the fantasy take perspective. Like I do think, and I don't think it's as much of a sleeper concept, but I think if Dart gets the draft capital and like we've seen more rushing upside, and if a team is willing to make that bet and it's like 10 picks.
I will say if Dart gets top 16 draft capital, he has to be top 6 in like super flex drafts.
Ooh. All right, let's see.
Last year everyone was talking trash about Bo Nix and Penix, and you see what happens. Like if a team takes a high, like it's like I'm going to use my big pick on a quarterback. You got at least 2 years. Pick. Yeah, so like to me, I'm going to just take him. But that's if he gets like high first round draft capital.
Yeah, and I mean we're talking super flex. We're talking quarterbacks matter. I think this is going to be a really interesting draft. What those middle first to late first picks look like with Travis Hunter, with these quarterbacks. What happens with Milroe? Like this kind of mid to early second, I think is going to be fascinating. As somebody who has a lot of early seconds, I am praying. In the end, we are all Dynasty Daddies. Couldn't have said it better myself. 20th percentile collegiate passer. No way you manage becomes a good asset. Yeah, it's tough. I mean, I think obviously we are we're making assumptions that a team looks at Milroe, the athlete, and is like, I can work with Justin Fields, the like passer player who like has like an arm, but like was not super accurate in college playing for Alabama.
What if the Jets take Milroe and then they play a 2 quarterback offense?
They do like triple option with Breece Hall.
I figured Breece would be the RB2.
Be on the Bears. Please. Breece is coming in on 3rd downs to throw the ball. Jeez, halfback pass on 3rd downs.
He may have the best arm.
Dang brutal.
No, I will say that is definitely the issue with Milroe. And like you also saw at the combine, like if any player needed to win the combine, it needed to be a Milroe. Like he needed to go out and have like an Anthony Richardson type combine for me to be like, yes, he's worth a shot.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's hard with a guy that's like hasn't really won a ton. Like that's why like with Hurts, I was like, okay, I'm still in on Hurts when he was drafted in the 2nd round because I was like, he won a ton, and I think that just means something. I'm like, if you can win, like
leader of men.
I'm just like, if you can win at like in the SEC and stuff, like I trust that you're going to be a decent quarterback to some extent.
Let's
do
this.
To me didn't really outperform.
All right, let's do this real quick on Milroe, and then I want to get into this 106 HN deal.
Yes.
Real quick on Milroe.
Hang on.
We're going to leave you up though, so you know what's coming, Alex. Okay. Here's the Milroe thing. How much, and it's still going to happen this year with Anthony Richardson, but obviously A-Rich, early first versus Milroe. We're projecting maybe he sneaks into the first, early second. How much of that? I think it's easier to make the conversation about the Konami rushing quarterback upside, but how quickly I think it's going to be really interesting to see how quickly the value will turn when people are seeing the A-Rich scenario playing in their mind of like, oh my gosh, what if they bench him for Spencer Rattler? Because it's so bad. Like, that is just dead on, like, out of the water. So I think it'd be really interesting. These are all hypotheticals that I'm like talking through. Obviously, we'll see how this all plays out. But I think these are the kind of things, and like this is how you become a good dynasty player. It is like obviously drafting, trading, but I think it's really understanding like the value pockets of like how people in your league think about certain players and being able to get out on stuff. And we talk about Bucky too, and moving cross positionally, but like taking Amon-Ra who just had a really good rushing week. But you're starting to see the murmurs. You're watching the QB school videos, and you're like, I don't know if an NFL team is liking what's happening here. I think that'll be really interesting.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the pros that Anthony Richardson you could talk yourself into, Milroe doesn't really have. Like Anthony Richardson, you're like he's played like 15 games. He's super young. He's like 21. So you're like, okay, they'll develop him. They'll be patient with him. Milroe, you're like, okay, man, like how patient are people going to be with you?
Yeah.
Like, we saw how patient they were with Anthony Richardson, and they took him at the 104.
Oof. All right, real quick, 26-second for Diggs.
Wait, we skipped the.
I know. True. I was gonna answer that so quick. I'm answering this one so quick too. I mean, it gotta be HN, right? I don't know if there's a format or a setup where the 106, the 26-second.
A second.
It's just the 106 starts getting into like. It wouldn't surprise me at all if come draft time we're like, man, I would love to trade out of the 106 to move back and get something in this draft.
Yeah, I mean, you're probably looking at, like, do you want to risk like a Travis Hunter or Ibuka, or do you take one of the Ohio State running backs?
Mm. Every player, every like, okay, decent capital, okay, decent situation is like a fun, exciting pick. Until they're not scoring as much as Achan has scored in his first 2 seasons in the NFL.
Yeah, no. I think just because like there's not a ton of context, it makes me feel like it's probably a more standard league, not like crazy format. No, like 14 by 11 where you're like, okay, the picks make sense. Like
and even that
cases,
it would be hard for me.
It's going to be better.
Like for me, it would have to be, we're talking about like some sort of another first or like the 25 108 or something.
We do two first.
I could see myself doing that. I would need to know the league setup and format for sure. That's when that would start mattering for me. But I think most leagues, most formats, I'm taking HN there. We'll go back real quick. Shout out Scott. Agreed. Say Dark gets first round capital. Earliest you take him in rookie drafts. Did you say 105 or 106? You said he's got to be in that conversation. If he's, I think if he gets to like
top 12, I'm like, you just got to take him when, like, especially too, because like if we look at last year was loaded. We had so many quarterbacks. We had so many fantasy relevant players. It was just offense. This year's not going to be that way. We don't have a lot of wide receivers. We kind of have some running backs. Like running backs are kind of the, what the crop is. Really, if we look at it, like, I mean, there's not going to be many players I'm going to be like, do I want to take Luther Burden or a quarterback that was picked 9th to the Saints? I'm going to take the quarterback. That's just a process.
Real quick, I'll go back to the Diggs question, but considering Dart at the 110 in a league where I need an upgrade at QB2 if Shedeur doesn't fall to me. Yeah, and I think that's like that's that Bo Nix range that you were talking about where in that late first quarterback that was taken highly, but people are like, yeah, but he wasn't an amazing prospect or whatever, where it's like, well, I mean, if a team's draft him in the top 20,
and you see
buying in on him
Bo
being the
Nix
quarterback.
Was one of the grossest profiles I could remember. I mean, he was like 25.
Old.
Like everyone's like, he went to the Broncos, which everyone's like, ew, the Broncos, like their best wide receiver is like an 80-year-old Sutton. Like no one was excited about that landing spot, and he made it work. And now all of a sudden he's this dynasty asset that people like. Everyone's like, ooh, Bo Nix. Like that's one of the first players they list when they ask a trade question now. So it's like, it's something where it's like, you just got to take it, because if it does hit, you hit gold, especially at the 110.
All right, Diggs are 2026 second. This is one where, like, to be a nice dynasty content creator, I would want to know. Appreciate the sub. I would want to know
70. Let's go.
The context. But for me, I think would not surprise me at all if New England still adds. I think they just need to add offensive talent around Drake May. Obviously they're going to want to bolster the offensive line, but would not surprise me at all if they leave this draft with a receiver with a first, second, third round draft capital. And two, I think like the best price you would get for Diggs is probably a second, unless he is absolutely smashing. And even then, it's a late first. So I think for like those types of deals where it's like coming off the injury, yes, there's excitement, but not the type of like, if you're trading away this 2026 second for Diggs, can I get Devontae Adams? Are there other
like you could
guys I
probably
can get?
toss in a little bit extra and get to a guy that's more locked in. I mean, I think a little sneak peek preview. I was recording a video about kind of like wide receiver age cliffs and things like that. And something I will say about Diggs is Diggs was scoring, not last year, obviously, because the injury, but the 2 previous seasons, he was scoring in the 90th percentile of all wide receivers. Obviously, he had 2 very elite seasons, and that usually projects well past 30. Like usually players that have multiple 90 percentile seasons between age 27 and 29 still perform, like they age gracefully. The issue is that injury kind of makes it like, okay, like how will we recover from an injury like that? So to me, like I think in most cases I'll just take the second and say, hey, I can probably get decent production for this second that's going to be similar to Diggs, because I don't think he's going to be able to just, turn back the clock and be an absolute, dynamite starter. But I mean, that's kind of what he was. If he didn't get injured, he was looking like he'd be that way even in Houston and certainly in New England. I mean, that situation set up for him to succeed.
Oh yeah, and this isn't even a super anti Diggs thing. I think it's more of I can get what Diggs is going to give me with that 2026 second in most leagues that I play in. Like I can go buy gross old receivers for. Oh, I feel bad. I got to start working on the language I use. I feel like if Stefon Diggs tuned into the Dynasty Daddy stream, he'd be like, this guy's calling me gross and old. Like, does he know what I've done in this league? Dragging my name.
It's okay. We're like the same age, so.
Yeah.
That's why I'm like gross old. I'm like, wait a minute.
Right. It's all relative. It's all relative. When it gets late in the draft, you draft based on names. I did that with Snoop Connor. Looking at Marcus Yams this year. Yeah, I it's definitely, I mean, I will say for me, like I will watch collegiate film. I think for me, and I recommend you guys do this. Obviously you're doing it right now, listening to us, but I highly recommend just finding people you trust, like in the content space, that like really, really talk about and analyze these prospects. Right here, sub to the channel for that. Especially some post draft stuff. Like we'll be updating. Having some videos out on that, but definitely
we'll have to do some mock drafts too. That'd be fun.
Oh yeah, and we'll definitely get to the point, and I think that's the thing too with like the average dynasty player is not, you're getting to the 4th round, like the average dynasty player is kind of like, okay, where did this guy even go? Like what is, like, is he?
Yeah,
what position does this guy play?
Yeah, I mean, this is where you take the guy that threw the orange really far in practice, and you're like, okay, that's why I'm going to take him in the 4th round. I will say, if you're going off names, Jackson Dart, a quarterback with the last name Dart, come on.
He's got that. Like, he does that headband thing too, like that.
Yeah, I mean,
that Matt Corral headband, dude. That Matt Corral I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of exposing myself. That is Will's. Create a player quarterback for every Madden
Another
game.
Ole Miss guy. Another Ole Miss guy.
I ever played, yeah. Top 6, nice hot take. I don't hate it too. It sounds like and it's the quarterback
this
too.
Class isn't deep. Yeah, like it's quarterback. If they get top 16 in the draft, I'm like, I like, who am I going to take? A 3rd round running back. One of those 2nd round wide receivers. I'm probably just going to say, let me just get the 1st round guy and deal with it later.
Yeah. Many people didn't want to draft Drake May either. Yeah, this is I kind of wish I just did not have a lot of those like mid firsts that turned into Drake May. That's like kind of my like biggest regret is I have a lot of I ended up moving
like
some
picks?
Of my Marv. Yeah, like the Marvin neighbors, which obviously have held on to my neighbors.
Last year's draft was so much fun though. It was just so loaded.
Yeah.
It was like the perfect fantasy football draft.
I mean, think about what's kind of interesting, and draft classes, it's hard because like you don't know. I mean, like Neighbors wasn't who Neighbors was as a prospect, a year and a half before like the NFL draft based off of like the previous season. But it is kind of interesting thinking about last draft, like Caleb, Neighbors,
Yeah.
Drake May, Jayden Daniels versus like Genty, and then it's like, okay, I really like Hampton, and then it's like Tet, yeah, but like we're not getting 2 top 10 receivers, we're not getting 3 quarterbacks in the first.
Well, we may get Tet. I know Mock Draft Database has him in the top 10, but yeah, I mean, if you look at Tet last year, I mean, he'd be easily wide receiver 4 at best. Like he's not going over Rome, Marv, or Neighbors.
Ooh, Scatter. Dude, the thing with Cam Scatterboo is
Scatterboo is a good name.
I don't know. I feel like he's gonna get sauced up. Like I don't feel like if he gets where, I mean, it's all dependent on draft capital, obviously, but I think like the production, just kind of like who he is, even like if the testing wasn't phenomenal, I think it wasn't bad enough for him to get like shot down. So he was probably going to be one of those guys I was going to take a lot, just like backs who like obviously like super high involvement, but for me is like the receiving production as well. Like these guys that like can and will catch passes.
Yeah, I mean, I love Tootin and Scatterboo too at their ranges. I mean, they're going to be solid second round picks. Yeah. I was about to say, Sean mentioned BTJ. Yeah, I mean, I think BTJ even pre-draft would have gone ahead of Tet. So I mean, it's hard to see players like it's in last year's draft. Yeah, I mean, I would have said yeah, Dart if he gets top 10 draft capital would still be kind of one of those late first picks. But in this year, it's hard to say who would you take over him.
All right, in a 10-team Superflex start 10. So 10 teams start 10 with a stacked roster. Ooh. I like that context. Would you give Puka and JMo for CD and the 205? So stacked roster makes me seem like you're not even really considering starting JMo. He's just kind of blowing up on your bench every week. Like you're getting to watch, not every week, but like every 3 weeks, you're like, dang, JMo had 80 in a touchdown.
He's the modern Gabe Davis.
Yeah. JMo's off the bench for me, yes. Okay.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
I mean, are you I mean, obviously in most cases you'd probably take JMo over the 205. I'm a Puka guy and I don't hate this. I think Puka has dealt with more injuries than CD. So if you're kind of in these like stacked rosters picking hairs thing, I don't hate not even paying up that much to go get CD, even though I am a Puka enjoyer.
Yeah, and I will say one thing, because I was thinking in like a 12-team league, 10-team, that 205 is a lot earlier.
Oh, yeah.
That's like
that's a 203. Is that how that works?
Yeah, I think how's math? 5 minus 2. But yeah, I mean, to me, I don't know necessarily. It is a shallower league. Like I think if it's a little bit deeper, I probably wouldn't do it just because to me, I feel like the wide receiver tier is really big right now. Where I'm like, I'm not going to go up and pay for Neighbors if I have CD or Puka or, like I feel like the range is pretty wide because any of them could do really well.
Yeah.
But yeah, in a shallower league like this, yeah, I mean, go get your guy and then you can just say, cool, like I'll draft a running back at the 203 and then just, move on.
Yeah.
And two, if like that doesn't work, I would be looking to be like, can I do JMO plus and pick up a future first? Right. If your team is stacked, all I'm thinking about is like, what can I liquidate for first?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like that's all I'm thinking about.
Especially in these 10 teams when like the worst first pick you can have is like the 110. And it's just a lot likelier that those picks end up being players that matter for you in those shallow formats. Like first I love getting first in those shallow
you got to
leagues.
think about how sharp your league is because a lot of people are going to be like, oh, it's super flex. I need quarterbacks. But the reality is a 10-team super flex, you don't really need that many quarterbacks. Like the Cam Wards and Sanders and all of them in this league should slide more in the draft.
Yeah, you want elite quarterbacks, but that's not something you can count on getting in the draft unless it's like elite rushing upside from a guy like Jayden Daniels or something that you could.
Yeah, if you have like a Jayden Daniels, you would rather take, but if it's like a Ward or a Sanders, like I don't really want to deal with that.
GG's, boys, great stream as always. Appreciate it. K Scott,
thank you.
Thanks for tuning in
the house, or I guess leaving the house.
K Scott leaving the house. Thank you for hanging in the house, the home.
We are at 1071 subs.
I
think the sub counter is working. I think it's working.
Let's go. Success. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you for all the subs. And I did want to shout out, we're at 1071, so it is less meaningful. I did throw this up earlier, but shout out to Hannah. I assume Hannah, I'm seeing a couple all caps Hannahs, so wanted to give the shout out there. Thanks for subbing. So we've got, this is Jayden Higgins. I think this saw Jayden Higgins at the airport or something. No lie. Saw Jayden Higgins at the airport this week in Charlotte. Okay. 3rd round pick for them. Okay. All right. I mean, you feel confident you're going to get a 2nd or 3rd round receiver to Carolina? You think?
Our defense is so bad.
Yeah. I didn't want to say first.
Yeah. No, if we use our first on a receiver, I'd turn off the TV and just be like, well, let me know what happens.
Yeah.
Because that would hurt. Just because I don't think the wide receivers are as talented. Like, I'd much rather have like a Mason Graham or someone that could just anchor our defense. But I mean, I do think like what I've seen with Jayden Higgins is you're probably gonna have to take him with a 2nd, based on like mock draft database and such.
Mm-hmm.
But I wouldn't hate it. Like, I do think he has a really good profile, and he's kind of like a, Panthers just need anything to stick right now. We have like Thielen, Coker, Leggett is kind of a maybe. I feel like we're kind of building out a little bit of like the Packers wide receiver room, whereas like they kind of all do some things, but they never do anything. Like, we don't have like a guy. It's just like a bunch of guys.
That's why you got to get Tet in the first. He's gonna be the guy for you.
Last year's wide receiver 5, this year's wide receiver 1. Tet is gonna do it.
This was the Puka CD JMo 205 trade. CD owner is driving a hard bargain. He's thinking about this one a bit more than I'd like to pay. But you have Neighbors, Ladd, Rome, AJ Brown. Dude, that's a nasty receiver room.
Yeah, that is nice. I mean, I think too. I don't know.
This dude's not even starting Rome. 10 teams.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is like at this point, like if you can't get it, I would be trying to move one of those guys just to get it first. Even if it's just like the value doesn't work. It's like I'm not going to start some of these dudes.
Mm-hmm. This is a tight end premium, 12-team start 8. Sell McBride for the 110, 303, 26 mid first, and Evan Ingram. I have Laporta and Tucker Kraft too. Ooh, how big are we talking this tight end premium? I don't want to do this. And I know, I mean, I want to follow up and say, what can you get for Laporta and or Tucker Kraft?
Mm-hmm.
And can you like muster your way to getting a first in some sort of deal with those guys? Because I'd much rather do that than sell McBride for the 110 and a 26 first.
That's a crazy package for him, though.
Bro just got his back. Tight end premium, difference maker. Do you know about WAR?
I know.
Do you know about WAR? Do you like wins against replacement? It's
I've never.
I'll send you some stuff. I got this website.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's just a lot though. It's a lot to
I'm not doing this in a standard league. Like the tight end premium is definitely carrying some weight here.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, you're sitting on Laporta too. Like, to me, I'm like, man, like at a certain point when you're hoarding elite tight ends, you're just waiting for that big package, and I'm like, it's coming. Like, this is
okay, like, but it's a 12-team. It's a 12-team start 8. So for me, it's so hard. Like elite, think about moving off an elite quarterback. In a 12-team start 8, and then I'm kind of doing the same thing because it's tight end premium with one of the 2, in my opinion, elite for sure smash producers at the tight end position for a long period of time.
Wait, does it say Brock Bowers?
How close was I'm not gonna pull this up right now, but no, I mean obviously we'd rather Brock Bowers, but
no, I agree.
Yeah, I think even if you like the other side, I am not hitting accept on this offer that I assume was made to me, because this does not seem like a trade that I'm sending out in tight end premium league. I assume this was sent to you. No. I am then how much to tight end? Yes, for sure, definitely.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. I was about to say if
is.
it's a PPR half tight end premium, I'm taking it. If it's a full PPR with a full tight end premium, then I'd probably say no. It looks like it's 1.5. So I assume it's a PPR with a 0.5, not a 1.5.
Yeah, that's not too much.
Like the hard part for me is like this is about as good as you're probably going to get.
Yeah.
For a tight end, right? Think about last year. You would have gotten this deal for Laporta. Everyone would have been like Laporta for 2 firsts, and you'd be like, oh no, Laporta's set for life. This year, you're probably not getting 2 firsts for Laporta. Like sometimes you just gotta.
Would you just try to move off Laporta for a deal that involves getting a first, and just like feel good that you get to have McBride and have future flexibility?
Yeah, I mean, if I could, like, I mean, to me, I'm like, I don't really care about Evan Ingram.
I think you can get a first for Laporta in a tight end premium.
Yeah,
league.
if I can get like a first plus a little bit, like, yeah. But this, I'm just saying, this is like, if you're going to take the deal, this is probably the best deal you're probably going to get for a McBride.
Yeah, and I think if your team needs it, like because of the way the draft shook out, the startup draft, if it was recent, or what you've done to acquire Trey McBride, you're like behind the 8 ball in a shallow league still, having McBride, and it makes sense. And you're like, yeah, I kind of want to get off him. I still have Laporta, so it doesn't hurt that bad. Like I could see talking myself into it, but yeah, in these shallow leagues, it's not a bad package. It's not a bad package. Let's go. Shout out Jimmy Butler. Shout out Jimmy Buckets.
Have you ever smalled somebody?
Here's Will. When Will hits game-winning 3 in a pickup game, usually we played like 11 for each game. I hit him with one of these.
Oh, ice in the veins.
Ice in the veins. That's what I will say. I did the most embarrassing moment I've ever had in my entire life. Probably not actually, but on the pickup basketball court, I had a nice move. I like crossed up a guy, and then somebody tried to steal the ball from me, and they really extended for it because I had just crossed somebody up, and I went behind my back, and then I like reverse laid it in, and somebody on the sidelines was like, "Oh," and I was like feeling myself so hard. I did the Trey Young like shiver, like I'm too cold. That was probably the most embarrassing moment of my life, was doing that in a pickup basketball game, but it was sweet. Okay. I know. Hey, I know it doesn't sound sick. Yeah, it doesn't sound sick. Me describing
it. You shot it, and then you did like the Steph Curry like look back and completely whiffed or something like that.
I probably have done that too, but I might need your brain for this one. How about having multiple players from one team? Any combo you would pick? I'm stun locked right now. You just mean like stacking in general? I'm trying to look for any previous Don messages. Do you think it's just like a random stack question?
I think it's probably just like stacks to look for, I'd probably say.
Stacks. I mean, for best ball people, like you kind of understand, and like DFS people, you understand like why stacks are important. And like for a week to week game that like at the end of the fantasy playoffs comes down to like 1 week matchups, like I'm not against having a stack. Okay, like Burrow and Chase. Like give me that stack, Dak and CD. But I think the more probably actionable advice would be like crappier tight ends, or like you have to flex a receiver. Are you trying to lean more towards, a tight end for like, let me play Hunter Henry versus the equivalent other tight end because I have Drake May, because my touchdown means a lot more for that week, and it doesn't kill me at that point because Hunter Henry probably isn't going to catch a touchdown, like that kind of thing.
Yeah, it can kind of raise the value of a lot of those low cheap players. I think too, like something I want to try to do is like, if I think my team's serious, and like this is kind of like, I don't know if it's really a great strategy, but this is like, I'm bored and I'm like, who should I target on my team? Yeah, so take this with a grain of salt. I know, like, obviously in best ball, everyone's like, oh, got to memorize the playoff games. And I'm like, okay, like, is there anything I can do to tip the scales in my favor? I have Josh Allen. Maybe I should look at the matchup and just say, hey, like, I expect my team to be in the playoffs. Let me just try to load up a little bit, find a matchup, and be like, okay, I know I have this stack once I get there. I don't think it's really something that plays a huge part in the Dynasty game itself, but it's certainly something that you can kind of take advantage of, something that people don't really talk about, that you do talk about a lot with best ball, that kind of just falls by the wayside with everyone talking dynasty trades.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, sneak preview, when in the foreseeable future, when we're on the Dynasty Daddy stream drafting an underdog or DraftKings best ball team, I will be talking about when that schedule drops. That is a big portion, is like the money weeks of, and it aligns with the fantasy playoffs as well, where it's like based off of these two teams, like you can project for the most part which of these teams will have a higher total. You know, obviously we're talking kind of like sports books and bettings, but like that contributes to, you know, higher offensive production, obviously at the base level. I feel like most people that are in this chat kind of understand that concept, but yeah, those are kind of little intricacies. But yeah, I don't go out of my way to stack, but I mean, stuff like this, like Ertz is my tight end, but I think Ertz is just kind of a good punting tight end.
I mean, that's a perfect
anyways.
example though. Like,
But yeah,
but Ertz is like cheap, right?
yeah.
And you're like, okay, cool. Like, do I sit on Njoku, or do I say, hey, actually, I'm going to just ride with Ertz because I have JD5? You know, like you can kind of, I think in a way it's like a psychological thing where it's like, it's easier to like get uncomfortable when you're like, oh, I'm doing a good process move, right? I'm stacking. So I'm fine just rolling with Ertz as my guy.
Yeah. Made a trade in an 8-man start 10. This is crazy. So this is a super shallow. So even though it's a start 10, you're talking 8 teams. Week 3 of last season, traded away Patrick Mahomes, JSN, and J.K. Dobbins for Drake London, Tua, the 104, and a 26 first. Do you think I won or lost? Are you assuming Superflex here? If two quarterbacks are being moved?
I'd probably say.
Let us know, Lucas, if you're in the chat still.
Yeah, if you're still in the chat. Okay, yeah. He said yes.
Okay.
I mean, I'll be honest. In a league like this, I don't really care about quarterbacks unless if it's literally JD5
and a 26 first.
Lamar, Josh Allen, and Jalen Hurts. Those are the only quarterbacks that really matter. And then the one passing quarterback that breaks into the top 5. I think last year was like Joe Burrow, you know, maybe Baker. He has Jayden Daniels as well.
Yeah. I think for me, like if you like, I mean, give me Drake London over JSN, but like even if you cancel those two out, Mahomes.
I missed a 26 first.
Yeah, Mahomes for Tua, the 104, and a 26 first in a super shallow league. I'm kind of crossing J.K. Dobbins out of the situation.
Yeah, I mean, London and JSN, you cross them out. So then you're saying, okay, Patrick Mahomes and J.K. Dobbins. I got Tua and 2 firsts. I'm taking that.
W. I think even in a shallow league, like if Mahomes was the next tier up, I'm getting a little spooked because I'm like, super shallow, difference making quarterback production. And like, yeah, Mahomes could get back to that, but I don't think he's going to get back to like scorching the earth like Josh Allen does or Lamar Jackson does or Jayden Daniels does.
Yeah, and even if he does, like, it doesn't matter that much in this type of format. You know, it's not like a 12 team or something like that where you're like, man, like, I can't believe I traded this guy that's scorching everything. Like, it's going to be like, oh, he's scorching everything, but oh well. Like, Baker Mayfield's still scoring that well.
Yeah. And those assets are good enough to where, like, even in a shallow league, it's like they matter. Like, a 26 first will matter in trade talks and when the draft comes. The 104 for sure will matter right now and in 2 weeks when we have draft landing spots. So, yeah, I like it.
Well, yeah. I will say don't take a quarterback here with that 104. Just take whatever running back or wide receiver, best one available.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I don't know the rest of your team, but yeah, you can, especially in an 8-man. I bet there's literally waiver wires, and it's just Geno Smith, it's Sam Darnold. Like, it's going to be guys that are going to score fine.
Mm-hmm. And if it's not, you can get those guys for cheap.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. Do you want to tell Connor to accept Tristan's trade? I'm gonna give this to you. I'll let you handle that.
I will say no.
I think it's a Lamar JD5 type beat trade.
I think that's the trade that's been going on in our chat this entire time.
Let's see. We've got do we want to close the night on a? Feel free if there's more questions. Oh, we got some more coming in.
It is Diggs Lamar for JD5. Nah, give me JD5.
Yeah.
I also know Tristan is a Commanders fan, so he's got to pay the tax.
All right, we have He's bullying me. That's messed up.
I will say thank you. We got 1072
Ooh.
subs.
Let's
That's
go.
pretty good. That's pretty good.
I appreciate it. Thank you all. And if you're not subbed, why? Tell me in the chat. Answer.
If you've been here, if you've been here for 2 hours and you haven't subbed, we'll bring you into the Discord call right now.
Talk through it
And explain why.
We're always trying to grow, learn, evolve. All right. Do we want to do did Will make a good or bad trade of the night, where we review Will's most recent trade he made in a Dynasty League?
The most recent trade.
Okay. All right, here we go. So this is, I am getting, oh, actually, let's answer a real question. We'll get back to this. Don't go back to this. A little preview.
Okay.
A little preview. Tips for trading / moving up in a shallow league. So this is that, I assume it's that 10 team start 8.
Yeah.
Hard to trade the Brian Robinsons, Dalton Kincaids, and George Pickens of leagues for sure. Yeah, and that's why you always talk. I mean, you're always here. Anytime shallow gets brought up in a dynasty, it is like required for them to say consolidate. Like that just happens in every dynasty content creation, and it's just true. Like you always want to be tiering up. So those assets that are like you could see being replaceable or considered replaceable, no one wants to buy those. And if they do, it's for picks that don't matter because it's a shallow league, like mid-late seconds and stuff.
Yeah, really, what you got to do is just stick a bunch of things together and say, "Hey, I'm selling, on a 40% discount, but I get a 27 first." And
that's the tip. I think you have to get uncomfortable too. Like you have to feel like you're overpaying. You have to plug it into a trade calculator and go, "Dang, like that bar's on his side." And it's like, yeah, it's on his side. You have a second and a future first and a replaceable receiver for an elite receiver, even though it like feels scary to move off these players. And you also have to, I mean, we talked a little bit about dynasty value pockets of when like players do get juiced up and they're hitting the trade blocks in every league because they had a big game. Like, yes, you have to do that in some capacity, but I think you have to be like realistic about it too, where you're, sending out offers, you're using Dynasty Daddy to look at, you have to take advantage of, okay, what team's really hurting at a position in a shallow league? Like I assume you have the ammo to help them. So like a team that's like really bad at wide receiver and tight end, like, can I give them Kincaid and Pickens and make them feel like they're solving that? And I get an elite running back or something, like, and I throw in a first or I throw in a second or something.
Yeah. The reality is like the dumb, I guess not the dumb advice, but like the normal advice, like you said, it's going to be consolidate. The reality is it's going to be hard to consolidate. So if you've tried and been like, here's all these players, can I get anything that actually could crack my starting lineup? It doesn't work. Then you got to say, okay, I'm going to start doing that for random picks, because the only time you're going to get superstar stud players is either consolidating up or just getting as many picks in the future and then getting lucky and landing a Brian Thomas Jr. or someone like that. Mm-hmm. So you kind of have to get ahead of the ball when you're like, okay, Pickens is good, but he's not impactful in my league. So let me sell.
All right, we got Grizz on a 13-2 run, but still down 11. And
we're getting the live sports updates here.
We're getting the live updates. I'm getting a little worried about sharing. I think it's going to be the first time I share one of my teams. I've got it pulled up on Dynasty Daddy here. So let's first look at the trade in a vacuum. And I'll give a little bit of the background. So you'll see the trade up here, straight up. This trade happened, I believe, at 2 a.m. 2 a.m. with my buddy. We were on a Discord call talking through Dynasty trades. So we've got, I am getting Cole Kmet, the 205 and $8 fab for Geno Smith, Devon Vele, and a 2025 309. So I'm going to pull up the team here. I am a known third quarterback trader. Yes. So I do want to put that out there. And I think that was the main driving force in this league. This is a kind of a weird scoring league. So I'm going to pull up. So let's keep this. So we'll keep the trade up there, and I can make it a little bit bigger too. There we go. This is a contending team.
Production value.
I did go slightly. I have gone in on this league. So this is juiced tight end scoring. The startup was last season. So this last year was the first year of this league. I did go So I've got a nice crusty old running back room. It is juiced point per carry scoring.
Okay.
I don't know the exact number, but it is like enough where running backs are matter. Receivers are like fairly low on the war chart, and we could look at it in a second, just kind of compared to where they typically are, just because it is tight end premium and juiced running back PPC scoring. But there is big play bonuses, and there are 100-yard game bonuses. So it kind of balances out like really good receivers a little bit, like being able to hit big plays and like having consistent a couple 100-yard games in a season, like does matter a little bit. Trey McBride, tight end, and really wanted Kelsey to smash a little bit more last season. Ended up getting, I think I got third. I think I won the third place game. But I will say, any other Jalen Hurts owners out there, remember that he unfortunately was the reason in these. Oh, it's also, it's like slightly juice scoring for passing. Also a little bit. And it is PPC. I ended up making a trade for Hurts in this league. All right, so I think it's enough context at that point. But Hurts had the like concussion. I think it was like the first round of the playoffs or the second round of the fantasy playoffs where he that was the main reason I'm gonna say that I didn't win in this league. Rough. But all right, so just looking on paper, I will say I do think it was a good deal for Geno. I think my side was I'm happy to get off of a third quarterback. The 205 was the driving force. I wanted to get an early second for Geno, but was not able to. Kind of went around the league and talked to my buddy Jan77 and felt pretty good about getting at least a mid second. And then Cole Kmet is he's the maybe I can trade him in a tight end premium league if he has a decent week 1 or week 2 is kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, it can kind of be an odd type of flex option as well. You know, like you're kind of like, okay, like, because that's something too, when tight end premium is pretty juiced, one of the best bargains, in my opinion, is flexing those tight ends. Because like everyone goes to those trade calculators and is like, oh, like, like this player's like, oh, Cole Kmet's worth nothing. And it's like, in reality, it's like for your scoring, he's probably worth a lot more.
Yeah. I will say pure roster construction, I want to turn a lot of these running backs or wide receivers into gross running backs. If I'm giving an analysis here of the team, but it really, if you look at it, it's a lot of guys who I think or thought I could have moved for higher value, specifically this group. Coker, Wicks, and Cooper did not. I mean, Coker, I've been really trying to shop, I will say. In this league where wide receiver scoring does not matter. So I'm really trying to move him, especially before the draft too. But I think the other league mates understand that Coker probably will not matter, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, I think those guys are going to be guys that you kind of, we got a charged battery pack. I mean, I think this trade's
because
good.
I peed before is really why.
You get the Bailey. You get credit for Bailey in a trade.
Yeah.
8 fab. That's going to be a huge difference.
It's going to be big. Yeah, that's a running back pickup right there. Hey, this is a league where running back pickups are going to matter, right?
That's true. Yeah. I mean, I think honestly, this is a good trade. I will say, if you're making trades like this, you need to also get those gross quarterbacks because buys are going to happen. You need to hit those things. Like that's the fact that you have Tannehill and Tyrod. Like there's going to be. I'd be picking up a bunch of quarterbacks saying, "Hey, I'm not going to have any sort of locked in QB3."
Yeah,
that's going to be the way. But I mean, I get you get credit. Tight end premium commit has much more value, and again, you get that early or the mid-ish second, which still kind of hits a range where you can get some valuable pieces. So I definitely like your side. I feel like you get the better end of the deal there.
Yeah, and I think I actually think it's a pretty fair trade in a league where quarterbacks do matter. Like you do want to be starting a quarterback in your superflex in this league. Like I can pull up the war chart in a second. And I think this was I was trying to take advantage a little bit of a Derek Carr scare at the QB3 spot. Love fading the QB3 for backups, yeah, for sure. But this is what I was saying about, and I see we got some actual real questions, so we can stop Will taking advantage of being on a stream to talk through his own personal dynasty trades. But you'll see here. So this wide receiver line, for sure, compared to other leagues, is a lot smaller or a lot lower.
A lot lower. And you can see the tight end premium as well. Like, tight end premium just raises up that top end a lot.
Yeah. So and like this quarterback line, and this is, I will say, it's not insane compared to the running backs. They both definitely matter more than wide receivers or tight ends. But trying to do a little, I kind of went in a little bit getting Puka in this league, which I don't fully regret, but a little bit.
I mean, you have your 26 and 27 first, so I mean,
and I will say the 26 first
so much
isn't mine.
Oh, that makes it better.
Thanks for the sub. Love that. Actually, I have none. Ooh. It's kind of a good feeling being a competing team. I have a first, a second, and a third in 2026, and none of them are mine. Like that. I don't know if anybody else has fallen into that where you have picks in a future draft and you're like, none of these are mine, and I've got a good team. Like you just start a roster. I don't know if I'm allowed to say it on YouTube, but you guys know. All right, Lucas, here we've got JD5, Dak, and Tua. I love Alvin instead of Kamara. You never see it, but I'm a big fan of like the other name when like talking about players. Yeah. You got Alvin Gibbs. It's like you got Alvin, Jameer, and Brian Robinson, Wifton, Jonathan Brooks, Trey Benson. It's gonna happen. And I will say, I don't know if Trey Benson is probably a whiff.
Yeah.
Try to get
especially
out.
If they're bringing in guys.
if they don't bring in somebody and the preseason game looks good. Yeah. Malik, Lamb, BTJ. Oh, bro, you're chilling. BTJ, Marv, Mike Evans, Pickens, and Jacoby. Dang. Kincaid and Njoku, Evan Ingram, 104, 203, 25, and some thirds and 2 first-round picks. Is it worth to send a bag for Bowers or McBride? We're expanding to start 11 this year with an extra running back slot.
Wait, is this the start 8 league, the super shallow one, or what was it, start 10?
I don't think so.
I think it was 18 start 10. That's what it was. It was 18 start 10.
Oh, it is. Okay.
So I mean, you're adding an extra
he has
starter.
Jayden Daniels. Okay.
Because this was the league where he's like, I can't move any of these guys. Like, I'm tired of looking at Brian Robinson and Dalton Kincaid.
Yeah.
I mean,
not tight end premium, right? I don't think we got a tight end premium mention.
Yeah, I don't think there is.
2 first-round picks in 2026. All right, so with this roster, are you sending a bag? If it's not tight end premium, I don't mind sticking with Njoku, but I also don't mind upgrading with this roster, right? Like you're starting Neighbors, Lamb, BTJ. You've got Mike Evans and Marv. You're like probably benching Marvin Harrison unless he like smashes.
You're definitely
like
benching Marv
in the first couple of weeks, and you have Pickens and Jacoby. So I get you're like I hate looking at these guys who like had dynasty value, but I can't really move them for. But
yeah, I mean, I think what you could do is like the 104 Kincaid and Njoku.
I would try. I definitely try.
Like,
I'm not trying to move these receivers though. I would not move off of the top of this receiver group.
I will say, like we said earlier, consolidation is king in this type of format, and even in an 8-team start 11. I mean, you just got to consolidate. You know, like if I can take a bunch of random players and somehow get even 2 first plus Njoku and Kincaid and get Bowers, that's probably going to be a win, even with the start 11 because it's only 8 teams.
Especially you're expanding slots for sure. Like taking good draft pick dart throws is going to matter because that's when you hit BTJ. That's when your pick looks better and you hit a Neighbors and you're able to like, oh my gosh, like this draft pick I traded for because I moved off of, a couple players to get a first who I didn't even really need to start based off how good my wide receiver room was. That's how you're like, oh my gosh, I can turn Dak into Lamar, and I have JD5 Lamar in this, moving up to a start 11, whatever. But is it okay? I don't know why I clicked on this one. You ever just see a new chat? You just click it, and it's
just to have it.
Is it time to let go of Desmond Ridder?
Where is he?
Oh gosh. Thanks, guys. Yeah, for sure, for sure. Where's Where's who? Desmond
I
Ridder?
know he's signed somewhere, right?
Desmond Ridder was. Oh, is he Washington?
I don't know if he's Washington. On ESPN, it has him
he was
not on the team.
Oh, okay.
I'll have to go to my site. I have my site pulled up.
Raiders. Oh, that was with the Aiden O'Connell. That's who.
No, he doesn't. He's not on a team. It doesn't look like.
That is funny. Who did the? Who am I thinking of?
Oh my god, these trades are insane. There's like full
No longer
team
tenured,
swaps. Yeah, you're cutting Ritter. I mean, I don't even think when he's good.
It's smart. I don't know why I got Marcus Mariota and Desmond Ridder mixed up, which I think is reasonable. You can put those two side by side. That's a reasonable mix up. Yeah, Desmond
true.
Ridder. You
isn't
do
much there.
I mean, backup quarterbacks. I don't know. Like, you get to a point where you're like, once you're debating if this guy has like QB3 potential, I think it's time to let go. I think like you need that backup to be, and it's hard. Like, there are situations where you don't know for sure, but like you do want it to be the one injury away for.
Well, if you're fading like, okay, like what happens if you cut him? Like, is someone else going to pick him up? What if he signs?
What's the bidding war looking like for Desmond Ridder?
Yeah, like who cares? Like, he's not on the roster. He signs to a roster, then you can pick him up. Mm-hmm. Oh well, like I'll deal with it then.
All right, let us know if there's any last trades you guys want to talk through.
Yeah,
but I don't know if I have any. I have Mac Jones as well. Hey, Mac Jones got a good spot, right? San Fran. That's a good backup
he can revitalize himself.
That's like the exact situation you want a guy like Mac Jones to be in, where it's
That's true.
You know, the offense you feel good about.
Sam Darnold.
Right.
The Sam Darnold career turnaround.
All right, I don't have any more trades to get excited about and go through. Do you have any closing thoughts? I will say my initial closing thought was we are heading into NFL draft season. I think a lot of your sleeper dynasty leagues are starting to wake up a little bit. People are like, oh, the NFL draft's coming up. Like, I've got some first round picks. Like, I'm getting YouTube recommended videos on who to draft in my dynasty rookie drafts. So people are starting to become more active in your not super active leagues. So just think about those players where, you know, there are maybe huge potential value drops coming post NFL draft. I know I talked about like Coker. I'm not like, I need to get Coker off my roster. Like, he doesn't have the carry, the value or the name, but he's a guy who's like, maybe somebody is like, he's a meaningful throw in, and that they're able to like really include like those types of deals, specifically your running backs too. I know a lot of people are going to be squeamish of the obvious scary running backs, like Chase Brown for the Bengals and DeAndre Swift for the Bears, Brian Robinson for sure. But, you know, even some of those like value drop guys, like I wouldn't be, you know, if your roster makes sense to, you know, see what you can get for some of those crusty guys. But obviously you're not just trading them away because you're scared.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it's the time to be active, and I think knowing, not to be lame, but knowing your league format, you know, knowing should you move up, should you move back, right? Like finding ranges earlier on, and just being convicted, being like, hey, I'm going to say this is, you know, the 106, like you said earlier. You're like, the 106 is probably going to be a pick I'm going to be like, I want to trade away. Okay, get ahead and do that before everyone's like, oh, no one wants to be at the 106. Yeah, you can kind of get extra value. Or say, hey, I want to be at the 106. You know, like it kind of stake your claim before everyone on the streets is like, this is how every draft should go. This is the perfect draft. So, you know, that's something I would be trying to think about as people start to dust off some of their rosters and get back on, you know, Sleeper and on Dynasty Daddy and get, you know, start booting up the app.
Mm-hmm. And with that too, there are, I mean, obviously you can look at mock drafts and, you know, really stay in touch with, you know, the NFL draft and news reports and everything that's coming out. But like, even just like checking sports books and seeing like, what does DraftKings say is the highest, you know, the odds. I just looked today at minus 250 or something for over 2.5 receivers to go in the first round. Like little things like that, where it's like, okay, like I can kind of maybe not know exactly the names, but I know wide receiver 3 will probably be available at this pick based off of, you know, team needs and what I think the draft's going to look like. So like little things like that and really choosing your spots there. Caleb Johnson here. Why do a lot of mocks have Caleb Johnson falling to the back of the first in rookie drafts? I think I don't think people give him the like maybe he goes in the first round respect. I think understandably so with this class, and especially against Genty and Hampton. But I like Caleb Johnson. I think Iowa faced, I don't know the exact stat, but they are like, I think it's like top 10 like stacked boxes. Like that team just did not like want to pass the ball with Cade this last season. So
yeah, I mean, I think he had a little bit of a weaker combine than some people hoped.
Yeah.
But in general, I mean,
tough
I think
year to have a weak combine, man. There was a lot of running backs with a lot of good combine numbers.
No, I definitely agree. I mean, I think again, there's going to be a big range, right? It's like the Ohio State guys, Caleb Johnson. Like, there's a big range of guys, and ultimately, it's going to come down to landing spot in draft capital, and then we're say, okay, cool. Like, we can lock in these guys in certain ranges, and then if you're like, I'm actually a big Caleb Johnson guy. I think he's better than Judkins or Henderson or something like that. Mm-hmm. Go for it. Like I can't tell you not to. It would be reasonable in my opinion.
Yeah, and this is all it's all tough. I mean, this is all going to be, we're going to have answers on landing spots, but I think like getting familiar with prospects is helpful, because there just is going to be a Bucky Irving in this class for sure, with how many like high end, maybe not a Bucky Irving in terms of like that value or production, but like a huge value jump where you go on Dynasty Daddy and you look at the player comparison and you're seeing like, whoa, that's a big shot up.
Yeah, it's just a massive
like week 1 versus where this guy was pre-draft. Ooh, this is, what up, Josh? Working on rebuilding a team of tons of picks and young, high upside players. Help I need to cut roster spots. Here's what I'll say. And Jeremy, if you want us to stay on, we can definitely do this. Josh, if you want to throw some in, but if you want to throw this in the Discord, I am sure people, if you say, who do I cut from this roster, and you just post a screenshot of it, I will, and I'm sure a lot of other people will tell you all the roster cloggers you got on there.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to know without the exact ones, but I mean, if it's a lineup league, start looking at some of those wide receivers that you can't get anything for. Yeah. Like most rosters I look at have just way too many wide receivers. It's like, why are you rostering, a bunch of random dudes?
Yeah, you got to do best case scenarios with like the Michael Gallups of the world, where it's like, if this hits, what's the percentage chance of a hit, and what does a hit even look like? Is it this guy's running 60% of the snaps?
Like it's like the 5th wide receiver on the Packers. I forgot his name, but he's rostered, and I'm like, at a certain point,
Malik Heath, is that, or we got
something like that. Yeah, I'm like players like that where it's just like, okay, dude, like at a certain point, like the ship has sailed. Like, yeah, it's so crowded. There's no way that the value's there.
Mm-hmm. Appreciate it, Connor. Great stream. Thank you all. The streams are great. I think one, just like the discussion, and this is like, dude, this is just like, we're 2.5 hours in, and I still want to make this point. Like, this is what Dynasty is all about. Like, I just love the like conversation too, where it isn't just like, oh yeah, all right, we got these trade questions we're gonna run through. Here's like obviously, yes, we're talking through like our strategy and roster construction and everything, but like the back and forth and discussion too is like what's so great about Dynasty, and what I've done all through just with buddies and group chats and everything. Definitely join the Discord, link in the description.
Join the Discord, like, and every Tuesday night, bring your questions and we will answer them right here live. Hopefully we don't ramble too much about Breece Hall or some other topic like that. But
2.5 hours. Guarantees. I think only like 4 Breece Hall mentions. So I think we did.
Honestly, this was the least amount of Breece Hall and the longest show we've done so far.
We better end stream before somebody says something about
that's true.
Braylon Allen's snap share next season. Or them adding Quinshon Judkins in the mid-second. Appreciate it. Thank you all.
Until next week.
Check out the video on the channel.
Yes, check out the
just
video.
Dropped. It's it's super relevant, right? Picks and players right now. I want to go on the Discord. Yeah, link in the description. So if you're on your computer, you go down to the description. There should be just a click here to join the Discord.
It's also on the front page of the site as well. So.
Oh yeah. All right. Much love. Got it. Appreciate it. Thank you all. Thanks for all the subs. Learn something every week. Good job. Appreciate it. Thank you all. The streams wouldn't be great if it was just me and Jeremy talking to each other. It would be good, not great. You guys
A
make it
lively
great.
chat. A lively chat is what makes it.
For sure. Appreciate it. All right, everyone, have a good night
Appreciate
or
it.
morning, wherever you are. See you next week.